What we do here is go back.
Hello there, dickheads and dickheadettes and non-binary dickheads. We're doing not Happy Island, not that one, Normal Island, with Curtis and whoever, I don't know else, there's other people. Yes. Name Kevin Logan. I do have to check out the fucking audio because it never does the thing. And an audio input, Yeti. There we go. Okay. Boom shakalaka. Join the broadcast.
The fact that everything has pretty much been sold off. Hi, Kevin.
Oi oi.
How's it going?
I am extremely well. How is everybody else?
Good, thank you. I assume you're on stream right now.
Yes, so please be as racist as you like and swear profusely.
Please do not say fuck or bugger.
Oh, yes. Lovely
Anyone
reference.
who is pretty much probably younger than 25 probably will have no idea what that reference is.
Look, who doesn't like a Bo Selector reference? Come on now.
It is, yeah. I love Bo Selector. Well, I used to love Bo Selector back in the day.
Fair enough. You are quite far away there. I can't hear you very well, Curtis.
Ooh,
Yeah,
can we make sure today that the gains are the same?
I don't know what that
checked
means.
auto gain on my end, by the way, but Kevin, you're usually quite loud, so
Am I?
people were saying that I was quiet, but I couldn't really go that much higher.
Okay, well, I'll just move my microphone slightly further away.
Yeah.
That's about as technologically
Carol, I
adept
think this
as I am. It's about as good as you're going to get.
Carol,
from
Oh, but, yeah, what I was just going to say as well is like when people talk about British culture, if you actually look at everything that we've pretty much owned 40 years ago is literally no longer owned by British people, and I feel like it ties into like the whole British culture thing, and it annoys me when the far right and the right talk about British culture and all this type of stuff when they're actually focusing on the wrong thing. While everyone's arguing about, I don't know, woke shit, pretty much all of our institutions, which
Carol,
our culture, have been pretty much sold off.
Yeah, what's with
Diane Abbott.
what's with the weird little sound clip thing that's
Sorry, I'm just
repeating?
sorting out the videos.
Oh, okay, right. Sorry, I thought it was glitching out or something. Okay.
Carol, I
Right, so Lewis, they're in the video section now.
Lovely, thank you.
Lovely.
Are you going to tie the Israel topic into the news from today as well? If you
No,
can.
I haven't done that. I think I'm going to do a separate video on that because I feel like that deserves a whole video, and I think I want to do like a reaction to it, so I can just get a bit angry on it. I think it deserves more than maybe just one section of a show. But do you like my extra boy band look, Lewis? I've got a black t-shirt this time. I know
Very
you fucking
boy
hate
banding.
it. You hate it.
I'm actually watching Angel right now from the Buffy the
my
Vampire
God, yeah,
Slayer
I knew
universe
that.
because I'm a raging homosexual who's 31 years old. And it's like the fifth time I've rewatched it. And you're literally dressed the way they all dressed in the late 90s, nearly
Yeah, they're
2000s.
fucking cool, man.
Honestly, you look. Okay, this is going to sound really harsh. You look like a reject from the Backstreet Boys.
don't want to be part of them anyway. I was too good.
No,
for
that's
them.
no, you know,
better things.
Exactly. Yeah, you've got a good solo career ahead of you, I'm sure.
Fuck yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't not say. Once I'd noticed, I had to. I've got no filter.
Sometimes things just should stay hidden, you know. Stay quiet.
I want it that
But that's okay.
way.
Like losing out to Nick Carter is not. There's no shame.
It's
in
not
that.
the worst, is it?
No, it's
You
not.
know?
It's it's not really an insult, is it?
Careful, Kevin, because if we bully him enough, he'll just move over to the far right. Move over to the far right.
Exactly.
Yeah, be careful because
I left the left because someone someone said I wasn't as fit as
Yeah.
Nick Carter.
Why I left the left? Me and Anna Kasparian together.
Yeah. True.
Fucking hell. Are you all good with tonight's topics? I assume you are.
Yeah, and absolutely.
They're very us.
They are very us.
Oh, can you set up his guest and split?
Why isn't it on there?
I had some tech things last time where, like, randomly I couldn't hear you guys, but it was fine on stream. So if you see me disappear for a second, it's just because I'm refreshing.
You are refreshing. That is true.
Oh, thank you.
You've had a bit of a shave, haven't you?
I have a little bit. Yeah, I thought I'd tidy up slightly.
For tonight or?
Well, I mean, I needed to
That's
kick
a
up the
no-go.
arse to get it done anyway. But yeah, someone in my chat said, and again, this is horrible. Curtis looks like an NPC out of a GTA Vice City.
That's good. I like that. Fucking not gonna lie, whoever you are, Vice City is a cool game.
It is a
look really
cool game.
in it.
I bet
Not
you
gonna
would
lie.
have killed the prostitutes.
Fucking hell!
You're supposed to be left.
That's an amazing sentence to say. Oh, fucking hell! Oh, I'm gonna need an hour and a half to fucking filter out that sentence, let alone do a shot. Good God.
Curtis the Ripper of Vice City.
At least I look good. That's what I give a fuck about.
I'm glad that you've taken away from this that you look good.
Yeah.
You are a stunningly handsome young man, though. Jokes aside.
Yeah. Lewis, do you want to say the same?
What? Sorry, I got distracted.
Oh, of course he did. Don't worry then.
Got distracted. Keep an eye out for any breaking news in the chat. You know I love to feed you some breaking news.
No, you love to feed me.
I do. I'm a feeder.
We are live, by the way.
It's fine.
Okay. Is everyone ready to go?
Yes.
Okie dokie. Is guest and split set up? Yeah. Okay. Host. Is the auto switch on? I'm sure it is. By the way, we still need to connect this stream to other things, but we'll do that for the next stream.
Yeah, I've set up a Twitch account. Well, I had an account, but I've started doing the branding on it now, so we'll look into that.
Lovely. Right, I'll get started.
All right then. See you on the other side.
Okay, I'm now muted on it. Just turn this down for a second, so that you don't have to hear it. Anyway, hello there, everybody. Now I can do my my thing. What did everyone think of the shave? Looking fresh, right? Looking fresh. Looking good. Don't forget, if you wanted to, you can subscribe. You can subscribe here on Twitch. Twitch.tv/KFLogan1875. That is the thing that you're watching me on, unless you're on YouTube. I'll get to you in a second, god dang it. Oh, we were on a hype train. I didn't even realise. Okay. Thank you to Flared Bass Bobbit, who's been with me 12 months. I really ought to have known their name, how to pronounce it properly by now, but there you go. Thank you, Fogel, with 5 gifted subs. Fogel, you Austrian maniac. How are you? Very, very generous. Thank you by Pagan Man with 200 bitty bits. Much love. I have turned off the noise notification because quite literally it will distract me beyond words. Which isn't so bad when it's just me, or even like me with Christy, but like I've got to pretend to be newsy news tonight. Kev's got to pretend to know what the fuck he's talking about. So yeah, no distracting. Yes. So what was I saying? Yeah, thank you for that, and thank you Electro Bubble for following. Welcome in. Howdy doody. Welcome to the Kevolution. If you're on, so you can subscribe to the channel. You can subscribe with Amazon Prime. You can gift subs to the community. You can do bits messages. 200 bits or more after this will get you a text to speech. You can do super chats, $2 or more there. After this will get you a text to speech. I've got Patreon, PayPal, Blue Sky, TikTok, Discord, Instagram, and Threads. If you're on the YouTube, hello YouTube. You can do the old becoming a member for 99 pence. Which is like virtually no amount of money when you think about it. When you think about it, it's kind of no thing, really. Or you can give memberships to the community, or you can do super chats, which I will read out at the end. As indeed, I suppose I will with the super chatty bit messages and all that shite on Twitch as well, because they won't be read out during the stream. Because I've got to, like I say, I've got to pretend to be like a fucking news guy, like a proper, like, you know how No Justice MTG talks all the time? I've got to pretend to be like that, like, for one show, and it's going to be a struggle, I'll be honest. Hey, hello Lesbian Hot Sauce. Everyone go and follow Lesbian Hot Sauce. Immediately. They do better streams than I do. That's the YouTube chat for them. Okay, so that's a little bit distracting. I might just shut that little bit of window down. No offense to anyone who's in their chat, but I don't need to be distractified with that. I already follow Lesbian Hot Sauce. Well, good for you, Big Zebra. Good for you. You have made the correct call. Which means I don't have to kill you. For this, at least. I'm not saying about anything else. Like, you know, we'll wait and see. It's always on the table. Yeah, so the topics tonight are the WASPI women, which we kind of covered yesterday. Royal Mail sell-off, which we mentioned but didn't really cover that much. The Israel thing, which is about a bill in the Knesset for land grabbage purposes. And then the TILF of the week, that being terrorist I'd like to fuck, Luigi Mangione, and his... not sentencing. What's it called? It's not a sentencing, is it? Prosecution. Charging.
Welcome back to Normal Islands. Tonight I'm joined by friend of the show, Kevin Logan. Kevin, are you feeling Christmassy?
I am, now that I'm here with you, because you are a gift to the world.
Oh my God. I don't think I can carry on anymore. That's it. Show's over, guys, because I've just had the compliment of the year. It's always a pleasure having you on. The stories we're covering tonight, as we're saying backstage, they're very us. So we're going to have some really top-notch analysis for you. Now, coming up on tonight's show, Labour sells off Royal Mail to foreign company. Labour betrays WASPI women. Luigi Mangione charged with terrorism. Israel to vote on a bill for freedom of movement for Israelis in Gaza. Always make sure you like the stream and leave a comment to boost the algorithm. Okay, on to our first story. The Labour Party has decided to sell off Royal Mail to a foreign company. The sale of Royal Mail's parent company to the Czech billionaire Daniel Křetínský has been approved by the UK government after review under national security laws. The 3.6 billion takeover of International Distribution Services IDS, the owner of the 508-year-old Royal Mail by Křetínský's EP Group, was confirmed on Monday morning. It will be the first time Royal Mail has been controlled by an overseas owner in its history, which can be traced as far back as 1516 under Henry VIII. The government will retain a golden share in IDS, which means any changes to Royal Mail's ownership, tax residency or headquarters will need its assent. The Royal Mail brand will be protected for as long as EP owns the company. Now here are the stipulations the new company has to follow. EP Group agreed to a series of undertakings to persuade the government to let the deal through. They include retaining the universal service obligation for a first-class postal service to anywhere in the country for a fixed price 6 days a week, while Křetínský is in control, a stronger commitment than the previous 5-year pledge. The government has also blocked Royal Mail from making dividend or similar payments to its owners unless the company meets financial targets and has improved its postal delivery performance. Dividends and asset sales will also be blocked if they put the universal service at risk. For second-class postage, well, it's bad news. IDS has suggested second-class post could be reduced to every other weekday. Now, Royal Mail was privatised in 2013, Labour in 2017 and 2019 promised to bring it back into public ownership, which of course has been ditched by Keir Starmer. Kevin, this isn't really selling off Royal Mail as that's already happened, and the UK will have a golden stake in the company. But in terms of optics, I mean, people see the headlines. Starmer sells British institution to a foreign buyer. This is not a good look, is it?
No, this is a really bad look on top of what has already been an awful start for the government, the new supposedly Labour government, of course. The Postal Service has been another privatisation disaster story. Ever since, like you say, it was privatised in 2013, which, again, needs to be borne in mind, it was sold off on the cheap by Vince Cable, one of the Lib Dem enablers of that particular Tory shitfest. They're costing the UK taxpayer billions of pounds. Indeed, so many billions of pounds that it would probably cover the cost of renationalising it now, bizarrely enough. For about 3.6 billion, or as I like to think of it, just over a year of the perpetual money we're now going to be giving to Ukraine, apparently, indefinitely, for how long, who knows, we could have just brought this back into public ownership, which is what a super majority, including a literal majority of Conservative voters, wanted. Just goes to show you that the Westminster elite don't work on behalf of the British people, clearly. The current ownership group of the Postal Service, or the Royal Mail, I should say, has been fighting tooth and nail to reduce wages and conditions for postal workers, including fighting the unions and all the rest of it, in order to try and beef up the sale value of this by decreasing the overall cost of it, which unfortunately has, and always will be the case with these privatisations, has led to a massive degradation in the overall quality of the service and with people's support for that service, which is the whole point, is that you degrade it to the point where you can just sell it off. And this, for me, is such an encapsulation of the problems within British politics. The Westminster doesn't serve the British people, and that even when you have right-wing reaction to the problem, they're focused on the fact that the guy is Czech rather than the fact that he is a billionaire and therefore has divergent needs and material wants than the British people do. This is another British institution, a core part of the British national fabric, which has been sold off and will be dissected like the cadaver of an animal in an abattoir. That's all we are now, is just something to be picked over by rich people so they can make huge amounts of money, regardless of what kind of negative impact it has long term on Britain as a nation.
And I mean, obviously we can talk about the mechanics of privatisation on this, but the reason why I led with optics is because this isn't selling it off, it's already sold off.
Yeah.
But if you think about Reform for a second, I mean, Reform have come out and said they'd nationalise water. Whether they would do that or not, don't know. But they're clearly trying to pitch themselves, at least on the economy, to the left. or they're at least buying into the message that, you know, take back control. Of course, the right typically use it as a dog whistle. But I think the left-wing message of take back control of our public services is a good one. And Reform are happy to play into that. And what Labour are doing is they haven't sold it to a British company. They've sold it to a foreign company. And I just think, why do this when clearly the politics is about message, isn't it?
Yeah.
And, you know, there's already a characterisation from the right-wing media that Labour doesn't have the interests of the British people at heart. To then go and sell it off to a foreign company, to me, strikes me as so out of touch.
It really does, yeah. It's the mood music of it. It's the story that you sell to the people. It's the counter narrative to the right wing media that you're trying to put out there. And you know, following on from the fake nonsense of the Chagos Islands being given away and all this sort of stuff, the idea of giving away the national gem of the Royal Mail, which, like you say, is the 500-year-old company, one of the most successful and long-lasting mail services on Earth. It's enormously well supported. I think only beaten by the NHS and the firefighters, I believe, as supported national institutions. And so, why you would give that, sell that to a private company from abroad when you could just bring it in house? 3.6 billion is nothing. That is a drop in the bucket of the overall spend for the national government. Like I say, and again, not to say that we shouldn't give money to try and help Ukraine in its hour of need, but we are giving perpetually now £3 billion a year under Keir Starmer to Ukraine for war. Why can we find money for war, but we can't find money for postal service or heating pensioners' houses, or, you know, not starving third children, etc.? It just sort of plays into the narrative that A, they don't have Britain's interest at heart, and B, that they don't serve the British people. And as to the point of Nigel Farage sort of tacking to the left economically, that's partly because that ground has been totally ceded by all of the national parties. The Conservatives obviously aren't going to represent that because they're a Conservative party. But the Labour Party are supposed to some extent. The Liberal Democrats are sort of supposed to in some respects, in terms of the kind of their one nation economic nationalist type thing that they've tried to do over the years. And yet all of the parties have completely moved away from that. So basically anywhere from the centre to, you know, absolute out there, you know, Maoism or something is completely empty in terms of mass support parties. And so that's the place where you're going to pick up votes. It allows Nigel Farage to pretend that he cares about the British people when clearly he doesn't. Whether he'd ever actually nationalise any of these industries, I'm very doubtful. He was a banker, after all, an asset manager, I believe. Which means he was exactly the kind of person that this Czech billionaire is. He carves up national institutions and sells them off. That's exactly his raison d'etre, frankly. But regardless of that, whether he'd actually do it or not is neither here nor there. But it allows him to position himself to the left of Labour economically, because the Labour Party has moved so horrifically to the right, to the point where, when polled, of all of the parties that were polled individually, so of the four major parties, which is the Liberal Democrats, Conservatives, Reform and Labour, the Labour Party voters were the most likely to support this move. Now, none of the parties had a majority, but 30% of the Labour Party, the supposedly Social Democratic Party, supported this move, whereas less than a fifth of Reform voters did, which just tells you how horrifically right-wing the Labour Party has gone. It really is, because the Reform voters, I imagine, a lot of them are annoyed more about the Czech bit than the billionaire bit, but the fact that so many Labour Party voters aren't annoyed by either one of those things is really quite worrying.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I think people on the right, maybe Reform voters, are more angry at the foreign side of it.
Yeah.
But it's an opportunity for the left to then say, this is why we need to protect our own institutions, and you can do that by bringing it into public ownership. And I imagine that's the exact pitch that Farage will do going forward. And the decisions Labour are making, it's like they are asking to be kicked out of government. It's really insane. Look, Labour are the reason why is they're wedded to this privatisation agenda, just like the Tories.
Yeah, they're neoliberals.
But it never improves the services. I mean, do you think this is about trying to offload costs from the Treasury, since the government won't have to fully fund the Royal Mail because it's covered by private capital? Or do you think it's something else?
Well, it's ideological. They're just the Tory party with red not berets. That's not the word I'm talking for
Rosette.
at all. Rosette is the word I'm looking for. It was a French sounding word. I knew I was going to get there eventually. Anyway, so they're basically just red Tories. He doesn't want to bring it into public ownership because he's not fundamentally a socialist, and that party has been taken over by the right wing of that party, which is basically just soft Tories. They're basically Tories who liked Brexit or opposed Brexit. That's all they are, you know. They're not going to bring it back into public ownership because that would be a good example. And I would ask any supporter of privatisation, name me a single privatisation that has worked. Look at the biggest problems in Britain right now. The postal service is rubbish, privatised. The bits of the NHS that don't work have been privatised.
I mean, I suppose their answer is always, well, it was rubbish back then, which isn't a retort, because the question is, has privatisation worked?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
You can't give an example because it doesn't, but they'll usually say, well, when it was nationalised, it was terrible. But I would
argue that you can argue that it's much worse. Look at, for instance, the water. Before it was privatised, we were building infrastructure. Now, there hasn't been a dam created since 1993, just before, or sorry, slightly after, privatisation. And we've now got our seas literally polluted with effluent. Literal human waste, so to the point where you can't go swimming on the seas anymore. You can't go into the rivers anymore because they're literally filled with actual shit. We are in a sea of shit because of privatisation. And they still won't nationalise it. Because this is not to do with the public good, it's not to do with the public purse, it's not to do with quality of life, it's to do with the fact that our political institutions have been bought and paid for by billionaires.
And that is why I would say to people, Reform aren't going to do this either, because the same reasons why Labour won't do this is because they're backed by billionaires now. They've received millions of pounds, large sums of money to fund their party. Well, who's funding Reform? Well, there's talks now that Elon Musk could come over and support Reform. Do you think he's supporting Reform because he thinks it's for the good of the country, or does he think it's good for private capital? Because we have to remember, I mean, they're looking at privatising the postal service in the US. So Reform aren't going to do this because they're beholden to the same people as Labour are. But of course, you know, Labour should be doing better. We could talk about privatisation all day, but I think we're gonna move on to our next story. But we are staying with the Labour Party. Now, it seems Labour are addicted to making unpopular decisions. They now face a huge backlash for refusing to support WASPI Women. For those that don't know, WASPI Women, which stands for Women Against State Pension Inequality, are a campaign group for pension equality. Some say the total number of women affected is 3.5 million. Now, what are they specifically campaigning on? Well, The Guardian, they wrote, WASPI and others have claimed for years that large numbers of older women were penalised financially and are now struggling with living costs because of the way the decision to raise the state pension age for women to match that of men was made and communicated. Many said they had always expected to receive their pension at 60 and had made their financial plans on that basis. Some said they only discovered their state pension age had increased by several years after giving up work. They argue they were not given enough warning to make plans to bridge the financial gap. The Parliamentary and Health Service Ombudsman spent years investigating. In an initial report in 2021, it found the Department for Work and Pensions guilty of maladministration in the handling of the changes. Then, in March this year, its final report said those affected should be compensated. Now, leaving aside whether people think they should be compensated or not, I think they should, the focus here is the Labour Party. Now, some corners of the media are finally waking up to how incredibly dishonest Keir Starmer is. In fact, Starmer and many members of his cabinet say WASPI women shouldn't be compensated. Well, they were saying a completely different thing just a couple of years ago. This is Starmer in 2022.
Carol, I think this is a real injustice, and that's why there's been obviously a big campaign around it. You may have been part of that campaign, because It's not just that the age is 67, it's that and this probably is the case for you, I guess, Carol, that all your working life you've got in mind the date on which you can retire and get your pension. And then just as you get towards it, the goalposts are moved and you don't get it. And it's a real injustice. And we need to do something about it, Carol, because that wasn't the base upon which you paid in. That wasn't the basis upon which you were working. And we've got a government that has basically put its fingers in its ears, so far as I can see, in relation to this.
Here's Starmer back in 2020.
Have been part of.
Rachel Reeves has said that compensating WASPI is an expensive compensation bill for something that most people knew was happening. Well, she had a different tune back in 2016.
Said back in 2011, the government has not given women enough time to change their plans. And she goes on to say, I believe the government's decision is unfair and disproportionately hits women who are now around 56 years old. That's what she said then. It's a shame she's not now seeking to change these. Now she is in government.
Now, they're just two examples of the dishonesty. Starmer has said multiple times how it was an injustice, and not just under Corbyn, but when Starmer was opposition leader, he said the same thing. That was that in 2022. But now they've U-turned on the policy. It's possible that Labour will face a big rebellion in their own party, with The Guardian reporting that up to 100 MPs could defy the government. Speaking of Labour opposition, Diane Abbott didn't pull any punches in attacking Starmer.
Do you, Prime Minister, really understand how let down WASPI women feel? He said he did understand.
No, he doesn't. That's the problem. He doesn't. One of the things about Keir is he's only been in the party a relatively short period of time. He was DPP until, I think, 2014, and he couldn't have been a member of the party.
Sorry, I think that got cut off then. Let's try that again.
Do you, Prime Minister, really understand how let down WASPI women feel? He said he did understand.
No, he doesn't. That's the problem. He doesn't. One of the things about Keir is he's only been in the party a relatively short period of time. He was DPP until, I think, 2014, and he couldn't have been a member of the party. Then he got parachuted into Keir. No, he got parachuted into
Some pancreas.
Hobart, just parachuted in, didn't have to contest for it. Then, because it was a safe seat, he didn't have to fight for that, and he has no feel for politics. Now, he might have got a great feel for politics because I smashed people like you, but he's got no feel for politics. He doesn't understand how they feel. Remember, he's on his big fat DPP pension. What does he know about, you know, ageing women who really will depend on the state pension? He doesn't know.
Oh, that is a takedown, and fully deserved. I mean, I love Diane Abbott. Kevin, I want to get your reaction to this, and also I do find it funny that now the media, or at least some parts of it, are just realising that Starmer is a liar.
Yeah, that's well done media. Again, only 5 to 10 years behind the curve. Bravo.
Yeah.
Actually, I think the more telling clip of Diane Abbott from yesterday was actually the question she asked about this in Prime Minister's Questions, which was pointed and erudite and well put. And the reaction from Keir Starmer tells you a lot. Not from what he said, because nothing he ever says means anything. The fact that he couldn't look at her. At no point does he even glance across, either in the asking of the question or the answering of it, because he can't look her in the eye. He knows subconsciously that he's lying, that she absolutely has him banged to rights, and that the thing he's going to say in response is going to be absolute bullshit. And precisely that's what it was. This is a complete betrayal of 3.5 million people, okay? And don't buy into the government propaganda of 90% of them knew exactly what was happening. No. If you read the report, around 40% had a fair idea as to what was going to be taking place and that they would be involved in it. 90% had ideas to some degree that there were going to be some changes to this state, with no indication that it was going to be about them. So even if it were just the 10%, you should still compensate the 10%. But even the case is, the majority of them didn't know that these changes were going to directly affect them. and so were potentially robbed of thousands of pounds in savings and pension pot contributions, etc., etc., because they were not informed about the date in which they were going to have to retire. Which, by the way, just as an aside, it's an affront that the part of this story that never gets even brought up is the fact that in order to equalise the age of retirement, rather than meeting it in the middle, they just went, no, all women are going to have to go up to 67 now. The people of France have a way of dealing with that kind of change, which obviously I could never possibly endorse that kind of activity, because that would be technically illegal and against the terms of service. I'm just suggesting their retirement age is a lot lower, and there might be reasons for that. Anyway, this is a complete betrayal. A complete and absolute betrayal. And again, runs in the face of their difficult decisions mantra, because their whole point is, we've got this mandate. Not to do this, you haven't. It was literally a thing that one of the few actual policies they put out before the election was that they were going to get justice and compensation for the WASPI women. And it's one of the few things I expected them to actually stick to, because it's largely, frankly, it's largely middle and upper middle, lower middle and middle class women that's going to be affected by this. Now, there are some poor people and there are some very rich ones, but largely speaking, it's the kind of demographic that you would think he would need to protect in order to have any chance of ever winning an election ever again. And he shit on them. Mm-hmm. And this, for me, is damaging in a number of ways. Firstly, it's of course damaging to the individuals financially, which is grim and disgusting. It's damaging to the fabric of democracy, because yet again, another promise broken. It's damaging to people's faith in both democracy and the media, because never more nakedly is it obvious that the ruling establishment don't give a shit about the people than with things like this. And this ensures that Nigel Farage will continue to grow and that reform will continue to grow in exactly the same way as we previously just discussed with the selling off of national institutions like the post office. This plays into the narrative that the main parties cannot be trusted. You can't trust them, and so where else do you have to go? The Green Party may hoover up a few votes, that's good, but largely speaking, there's only one player in town for the disaffected, angry people that this is going to create. And again, it's 3.5 million of them. That's not inconsiderate. That's a large number of people, and it's no surprise to me that on that basis he's now trying to stop the 2025 local elections for entirely spurious reasons.
Well, I mean, look, there is an issue with younger people looking at particularly younger men looking at reform, but it's still very true that reform attracts a lot of older voters, and I cannot understand why. It's almost like the political red line. Parties don't typically do it, is to go after older voters because they're the ones that vote, right? A lot of the time, actually, young people get left out because we're seen as politically inactive. It's kind of like, well, these people don't vote anyway, so we can attack those. Really strange for Labour to go after winter fuel payments and now WASPI women, because older people definitely vote, and they typically, well, a lot of them are moving to reform. So in terms of political calculation, another stupid thing from Labour. In terms of lying, once again, they've lied. And this isn't just, under Jeremy Corbyn, that was his leadership. We were doing cabinet collective responsibility. Now it's a new leadership, because that's what some people tried to say. Well, Keir Starmer's now the leader. Yeah, but Starmer and those in the cabinet, now in the cabinet, were speaking in favour of compensation for WASPI women as recently as 2022. So they can't even do that.
Yeah.
So I find that absolutely insulting to people. I also don't like, and I don't think it's very widespread, but I've seen people who you would consider more on the left, younger people, who say, it's probably more of a Labour line, but it's like, well, these older people should have been more responsible with their finances, kind of mirroring the treatment that young people get. If you should have just cancelled your Netflix to get a house. And, well, maybe older people should have been better with their finances. Two reasons why I really, really hate that. One, because that's not true. The Ombudsman quite literally says older people, or WASPI women specifically, made their financial decisions based on the communication. So it was, you're going to get your retirement or your pension at 60, so they made their finances in accordance to that, and then that changed. So it's not their fault. But two, you don't want to do the opposite side back to them. If you want to build a really big political movement, you want to build coalitions, then I don't think young people should turn around and say, yeah, well, fuck older people too. We should be saying, no, this is disgusting. what's happening to older people, and young people are getting screwed over too. Let's team up. Let's fight the actual enemy. Again, I don't know how widespread widespread that is, but I have seen certain examples of that, and I really don't like it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but I would caution you not to get too not to fret too much about that. I think it is just individuals letting off steam. I think most young people can see a system screwing with people and stealing from them because it's something that they've been used to all of their lives. They're very finely attuned to it. What I think you're picking up on there is a kind of generational animosity. So we, as a younger person, and having been even younger still in the past, because that's how time works, I've experienced myself the kind of nonsense of especially kind of media people going on about young people. The reason that they can't afford X, Y, and Z is because of too much avocado toast, and they need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, and all of this kind of nonsense. And what I think you've hit upon there is a few examples of people letting off steam and sort of giving a little bit back, which isn't particularly productive, but it's understandable from a moment of catharsis from an individual perspective. But I think most young people see this for the injustice that it is.
I want to get your reaction to the media, actually, and specifically right-wing pundits, because I feel like they're also being dishonest. Because if you ask me, they don't care about WASPI women, particularly right-wing commentators. So I think this is also a bit of a faux outrage just because it's Labour or Starmer. What do you think about that?
Oh, 100%. 100%. These very same people were defending the Tory party, which still today doesn't want the WASPI women to be compensated. In fact, Prime Minister's questions yesterday, for some reason, leader of His Majesty's opposition, Kemi Bad Enoch, decided to ask the question about WASPI women. Literally, she started off with a perfectly reasonable point about how these people were being screwed over, and then said, I'm glad they now agree with us. They should be screwed over. Like, they've not learned anything. So the idea that these right-wing commentators actually give a shit about these people is just obviously patently untrue.
I think it's the same with the winter fuel
and
payment.
Exactly. I was going to move on to that. Yeah, the winter fuel payment or the two-child benefit cap or anything like that. They supported austerity through the sea of blood that it spilled with the people that were killed, and the impoverishment and the anxiety and the fear and the just chaos that it caused across the country. They supported all of that, and they'd support it again tomorrow given the chance, as long as it's a Tory government doing it. When it's a Labour government they're just trying to poke at the kind of fraying edges of support for the Labour government. It's got nothing to do with them actually opposing austerity, to the point where literally the Tory party are up in arms about this austerity from the Labour government, because it's not them doing it.
I mean, can you point to a time when Nigel Farage or people from UKIP or the Brexit Party railed against austerity in the last 14 years? How many anti-austerity marches has Farage been on? And I think I always like to frame it in a way that a Reform person or a Farage person might be watching. It's very unlikely, but just in case they are, I always like to try and remind people that just because Reform are kind of like the new kid on the block, and that they might have some policies which sound good, again, when they say they bring water into public ownership, to not trust them, because you have to look at people's actions. And again, those who are involved in Reform, Nigel Farage specifically, has never ever railed against austerity. He's never cared about public expenditure cuts. Not once. He's always talked about immigration. So when they get so angry at the Labour Party for the two-child benefit gap, the winter fuel payments, and now WASPI women, it is all just to attack Labour. It's just a political point. Now, of course, yes, what Labour are doing is wrong, and on policy-wise, we don't agree. But just because Reform are saying that too doesn't mean we should believe them. Oh,
absolutely, yeah. Nigel Farage is as likely to be seen on an anti-austerity march as he is doing a surgery in Clacton, i.e. it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about this. He's very much pro-austerity. If you look at his budget, or his plans during the election for what his budget would be if he got into government, he wanted 5% cuts to every single department. An argument that was so right-wing and so pro-austerity that it's now just been taken on by Rachel Reeves.
Exactly. It was right-wing enough for her, so she could do it.
Exactly. That's dangerous. That's the problem with Farage. He might be as right-wing as Rachel Reeves.
It's looking like it. Now we're going to move on, but before we go on to our next story, I just want to say thank you to all those who are watching. We've got 565 concurrent viewers across Twitter and YouTube. Remember, if you haven't liked the stream already, then please do. And if you're not subscribed, then make sure you do that too and hit the notification bell. It's good for the algorithm. Also, what's good for the algorithm is if you come back after the live and drop a comment, that helps a lot. Now, if you want to see Turn Left continue to grow, then make sure you share this video, tell your friends and family about us, and once again, subscribe. Now, there are currently a few of us working voluntarily, and we want to be in a position where we're paid for our work, and one day this is our full-time jobs. It means we can upgrade our equipment, create more ambitious content, and one day have a studio. And I really want to build a socialist media alternative. Now, you can head over to turnleftmedia.co.uk/support. You can donate there. You can either do a monthly Patreon or a one-off donation. You can also follow us on Blue Sky. Our handle is at turnleftmedia.co.uk. Now, before we get onto our third story, we're going to go to our comments. Let's see what we've got in the chat for tonight. Flo Snake, good to see you again. She's in I don't give a fuck mode, and it's lovely to see. I think, yes, Abbott has been like that for the last year or so. Partly it's probably because she's the woman of the house. I think she's actually in quite a good position here. And I think when Labour were trying to oust her, there was so much backlash. All I say is good for her. She's been treated appallingly as a woman. She's been treated appallingly as a black woman. And she's been treated appallingly as a socialist by the Labour Party and Keir Starmer. So good for her. Fuck yeah. Mangione, Italian pronunciation. So, here we go, because I think I'm saying it wrong. Italian pronunciation would be Mangione. So, Mangione. Am I saying that right? Don't know how far it's been Americanized, but it definitely ain't Mangione, lol. I'm going to continue to get his name wrong, by the way. I apologise. Jacqueline, good to see you. Can anyone name one time that privatising public services has ended well? I can tell you that it's ended well every single time, but it's ended well for the shareholders and the corporations, but not for us. Matt Barker, when Starmer says the UK is open for business, he means up for sale. That's exactly what he means. It's exactly that. When politicians say we want to open up sales for business, it doesn't necessarily mean that they come here to invest. It means that we sell off our stuff so they can make a profit. That is a really good comment. I'm going to use that. I'm going to steal that one. Coops. The Tories said privatisation was to bring down cost and upgrade the needs we needed in the 80s. It never worked. Capitalism is not good for the public. Privatisation was never going to bring down costs because there's an extra layer of margin that we have to pay for. And what's that? Profits. So, I mean, private capital doesn't invest in public services just for the fun of it or because they're kind. They're doing it for a return on investment. So it's always going to be more expensive. Vicky Clee, good to see you again. Greens might be able to pick up some of the discontented if the media ever give them a chance. Well, I haven't actually read this article. I've got it in my saved list, which is from George Eaton. I think he wrote for the New Statesman, saying, why aren't the Greens doing better than they should be doing? I mean, 90% of that is because obviously the media don't platform them. We've said this time and time again. I don't need to go into it. But I think there could be other things that the Greens could do. Maybe they need to be better at local campaigning. Not necessarily campaigning when there's an election, but campaigning on specific issues. I mean, I spoke to Zach Polansky actually a few months back, and I said, you know, I've heard that Reform are going into local communities and helping people sign up for benefits. Now, of course, Reform don't give a shit about people on benefits, and if they're in government, they'd strip it away. But that's a really good campaigning tool. It's helping people, and it's connecting you to the party. And his response was kind of like, well, I don't know if that's exploitative or not. But I say, well, it's not. I mean, you're helping these people, and you're telling local communities the Greens are there to help you. I don't know if the Green Party are doing that enough. I know that Ash Sarkar said that some of the messaging is a bit technocratic. I kind of agree. I think they need to be even more populist. I mean, think how populist right-wing parties are and Reform are. Insanely populist. And I think the left needs to match that energy.
Yeah, you're such a name dropper, by the way. Oh, I met Zach Polansky. I'm good mates with Zach. Me and Zach go for tea.
I can't believe you dropped that in there. If you missed that, he said Kevin was saying I'm name dropping. Oh, I caught up with Zach Polansky the other day. Yeah, well, do you know what? I'm trying to boost this platform, make it sound professional. If If I name drop him, maybe that makes us...
You should mention your mate Jezza.
Did I interview Jeremy Corbyn twice? Yes, I did.
Oh, nice. There we
To
go.
be fair,
Love
though,
it.
that makes me look like a dickhead when I say it, but...
Fair
It
enough.
does. Look, guys, anyone in the chat, do I look like a dickhead if I name drop? Or is it because I'm proud of where Turn Left has come
No,
from?
you should be proud. You should. But you also sound like a dickhead. So.
I love your honesty. I mean, to be fair, you gassed me up so much at the beginning of the show. I feel like this has leveled it out.
Yeah, that's fair
It
enough.
wouldn't be fair otherwise. You were too nice to me at the beginning, so now you got to bring me down.
That's what the left do. They build you up to knock you down. It's cancel culture.
Where's the solidarity? I mean, where's the ego building?
True.
It doesn't exist. I might join the right because they love their egos. I will get to comment. Jim Speak. Curtis is the best host at reading chatters' comments. That's how it's done. Thank you. Really love that. Any more? No, I think that's it. So, Jim, you were the last commenter. And by the way, I always notice you at the beginning of the stream. You always drop some jokes. We like your bit of humour in there. God knows the left could do with a bit more humour, couldn't we? Anyway, we're going to move on to, well, from humour to a story that's, wow, it's quite serious, actually. That's Luigi Mangione. I'm sorry, I probably have butchered that name. I will practice it after the stream. But Luigi Mangione has been charged with murder as an act of terrorism. Mr. Mangione faces various charges, including first-degree murder and 2 counts of second-degree murder, one of which describes the killing as an act of terrorism. The intent was to sow terror. New York District Attorney Alvin Bragg said, calling this shooting a frightening, well-planned and targeted murder. Mr. Mangione is scheduled to appear for a court hearing on the 19th of December over whether he will be extradited to New York on the charges, though Mr. Bragg suggested the suspect may not fight an extradition. I don't know if we had the graphic up there or not, if Mr. Producer is there in the background. Now, Mangione also faces additional charges. In addition to the state murder indictment being brought against him in New York, shooting suspect Luigi Mangione is also expected to be charged with a federal crime. 2 sources familiar with the matter told CBS, the BBC's US news partner. Mangione is expected to appear at the US District Court in Manhattan as early as today, the sources said. It is not immediately clear what federal charges Mangione could face. However, federal charges could, in theory, allow prosecutors to seek the death penalty, which has been halted in New York since 2004. At the moment, it is unclear if they will do so. The death penalty. Now, of course, that is the writer's speculation. I'm sorry, I would not be surprised. Seriously, would not be surprised if they did. Kevin, what are your thoughts that Luigi faces not just first-degree murder, but as an act of terrorism?
It's an insult to victims of actual terrorism, as far as I'm concerned. The legal basis for that prosecution may be sound. It may be that the law is just completely wrong in terms of its definition of what terrorism and what an act of terrorism is. But that's the problem of the law rather than of the act, or indeed of generally people's understanding of what terrorism is. There's no doubt that this would classify as an act of murder. I don't think anyone realistically claims it's not that, other than on a kind of moral basis as an act of self-defense, which is a larger, more philosophical point. But under legal jurisdiction, yeah, what he did was kill a man. But that's the point, I would argue, about terrorism here. Luigi Mangione, or Luigi Mangione, if you allow me to be slightly racist for a second, killed one man. The health insurance industry in America kills about 190,000 people every year. That's one 9/11 every week, on average. Who is the real terrorist here? I would argue it's Brian Thompson. Mm-hmm. Brian Thompson killed far more people. Brian Thompson and his class, his ilk, terrorise tens of millions, indeed hundreds of millions, of people across America. The 1% being scared, I would argue, actually isn't necessarily a bad thing. But regardless, that's clearly a thing that has happened as a consequence of this. Is nothing as to the terror of not knowing whether, if your kid gets sick, the insurance you have already paid for through the nose will even cover it, or whether it will be so financially crippling as to leave you and your family homeless. That is a level of terror I can only begin to imagine. He inflicted upon hundreds of thousands of people through his company, and his company had denial rates far in excess of the national and industry average. So this man was a ghoul. His death should not be mourned. His family will obviously mourn it, but no individual outside of that should possibly mourn this person. He was a terrible human being, and frankly, his death isn't a sad day, because nothing of value was lost from the world as far as I'm concerned. Luigi Mangione will be convicted of murder, and I don't think that's massively surprising. The idea that he is guilty of terrorism, however, I think is a stretch to an extreme extent. Given the fact that you just had, I've forgotten his name now, the white chap who killed a black man.
Daniel Penny.
Daniel Penny, thank you. Who killed a mentally ill black man on a subway, and has not only been not found guilty, but the case was dropped against him, and the right wing have celebrated him up until the point of the incoming president literally meeting him at the Army Navy football game, shaking his hand and having a picture taken, smiling with him. The idea that the system and those who support Brian Thompson give two shits about the death of supposedly innocent people, they don't. Whether it be the Wisconsin shooter, or whether it be this guy or whatever, they're happy to support murder as long as it's in favour of the status quo. It's only when it begins to challenge the status quo, it's only when the person who is killed has money, that they begin to give a fuck.
Just to play devil's advocate for a second.
Yeah.
This is devil's advocate. The definition of terrorism is using fear or violence to advance religious or political goals. One could say that his view on the healthcare system is political, and that's why they are trying to get him under terrorism. I mean, what would you say to that?
No, they're trying to get him under terrorism because he attacked a rich person. They could have done. I would argue, could have done that with any number of people. With what was his name? Oh God, the guy who killed two people in Kenosha during the BLM riots.
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Kyle Rittenhouse. My memory is appalling tonight. Kyle Rittenhouse, I would argue, under that definition, did terrorism. He's a right-wing political actor who went there looking for trouble, brought a gun that he shouldn't have, and killed two people. They didn't charge him with terrorism. He was charged with, murder and all that, but he wasn't, and eventually found innocent, by the way. Which
is still, to me, a huge
massive injustice, absolutely. But either way, he wasn't charged with terrorism because the people he killed weren't rich enough. So the system didn't care to. The system didn't feel the need to stamp down on that as to actually dissuade others from acting in the same way.
I mean, for me personally, this is absolutely about making an example. If you kill a homeless black person, Jordan Neely, which Daniel Penny did, not only do you get away with it, you're invited to meet the vice president. But going after someone powerful was a completely different story. I think that's, Brian Thompson, because he's a CEO, is seen as a valuable member of society. If you're a homeless black guy with mental health issues, you are seen at the bottom of society.
Yep.
So I think that's where the response comes from. And I think you can't just charge Luigi Mangione with murder. They have to make it a special case. I mean, look at the pictures now with him. Like, he's got his hands and legs tied up on chains with about 50 different police officers around him, like he's Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
I also did want to ask you as well. I mean, a lot of media outlets apparently there's a poll that came out and like 40% of young people supported what Luigi did, but the way they're framing it is shocking poll, and then you've got Piers Morgan say all these people are scumbags, which just shows how out of touch these pundits are, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, literally, Piers Morgan supported Donald Trump, a man who literally boasted about how he could go and shoot someone in a street very much adjacent to the street on which this happened, and that would be fine because he wouldn't lose any support. So the idea that he actually gives a shit about it, of course he doesn't. Of course he doesn't. The media don't care about this either. Again, nothing from the media about the 190,000 people killed by the health insurance industry every year. Mm-hmm. That's fine. Reminded of the old quote, although it is from Joseph Stalin, but still I think applicable. if you kill one man, you're a murderer. To kill 1,000 is just a statistic, right? And never, it's true. That's exactly how it is treated. It's ridiculous. Why is his one act terrorism, but Brian Thompson's countless acts of terrorism not terrorism? And for me, the perfect summation of this is the fact that the New York Police Department is going to be spending some of its money setting up a hotline strictly so that CEOs...
That is absolutely insane, isn't
CEO...
it? The rich and CEOs are getting special treatment.
Yeah. CEOs who are scared can ring and get advice and extra police safety and all the rest of it. And yet 90+% of rape kits in New York State go untested because lack of funds.
Well, there was, I don't know if you saw it, but there were Amazon workers that were striking.
I did see that. I literally tweeted out, and again, I will preempt you by just saying the police are scum. Never forget that.
For those in the audience who haven't seen it, there's a video clip of Amazon workers striking. And obviously they stopped Amazon lorries going out to deliver parcels. The whole point of striking is to disrupt, right? The police were called and they broke the strike to allow the trucks to leave. What you see there is the police protecting capital, protecting business interests and profits. That's why they protect CEOs. That's why they protect Amazon. And they broke a strike. That's what fundamentally that is what the police are for.
Well, exactly. Yeah, this is why whenever some, let's be honest, FBI Fed posting piece of garbage online says, "Oh, we need to welcome police unions into the labour movement." No, we don't. They're our enemy. That's what they are.
I would say it's an interesting, because I did see someone say this is why police shouldn't be unionised, and I guess as a thought.
No, they're allowed to be unionised, but I don't have to respect that.
No, I mean they shouldn't be, right?
Yeah.
But I want to ask you on that one. Do you think that if there was more unionisation in the police, you could see more solidarity with other workers?
No, they have a vested interest. There is a self-selecting process throughout the entirety of the police and what they are. This is why the old argument of, well, this one good police officer, yeah, you can have one good police officer who does good work and is community-minded, but he's ignoring the rapists and wife beaters. So I don't care. Like, I don't care.
It doesn't really matter who it is anyway, because, as a police officer, you're told you need to go and break this strike.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
If you don't do it, you're going to get in trouble and eventually fired from their job. So, like, the system, the way it's built up.
Exactly. It doesn't matter how good they are. Every copper has had to beat up some homeless people and drive them away. Yeah. They've had to harass ethnic minorities. They've had to ignore accusations of rape because they just don't have the time or just the inclination. They know there's not going to be a prosecution. They know the tests aren't going to be tested, so why bother, basically? They've all been involved in unbelievably heinous acts. They all know the culture within the police, which is racist, sexist, abusive and violent. And they carry on. So if you unionise them, what you just end up with is a union of racist, violent, sexual maniacs.
Police force, probably, actually.
Yeah.
Now, someone left in the comments, I can't remember who did, I'm sorry. One way of arguing against this terrorism charge is that Mangione was going to use a bomb and then decided against it because it was going to hurt innocent people. Now, of course, terrorists, they specifically target innocent people to get their religious or political points of view across. It's like saying if someone were to kill a member of your family and you go out and kill them, you can say, well, it's manslaughter because there's a reason. Whereas if the same scenario happened but someone let off a grenade in New York, despite the fact that this person has personal anguish, you could say that's terrorism because it was a big explosion and lots of people died. To me, it makes sense that this would be manslaughter because, all right, Brian Thompson may not have personally gone after him or somebody else, but if you really look at it, he went after Brian Thompson specifically because of his role in society and how healthcare or how Americans are treated in the healthcare system. But specifically with Brian Thompson, you have the system and you have the confines within the system, but within that system, Brian Thompson was also the worst of the worst. As we know, the decline rate of claims with United Health is worse than any other company in the US. Brian Thompson, as CEO, decided to make use AI for claimants, and it ended up being like 90% of the results were wrong. It essentially meant that loads of people were denied their claims when they shouldn't have, but because they wanted to save money on overhead costs by using AI. To me, that you could make a case that actually this is just manslaughter.
I think that is a loose and not very applicable philosophical argument, which I think is worth like having discussion about online. But when it comes to legality, I think there's very little doubt that what he did was directly murder, and under any applicable rule of law, he probably is guilty of murder, right? But one point, and this is a great segue to our next topic, one point I would raise about him initially thinking to use a bomb, but then realizing there might be people as collateral damage in the nearby area, and so using a pistol to make sure that only the person he targeted was affected by this, makes him far more moral than the IDF.
And that is a perfect segue to our final story, which is of course on Israel. Now, Israel is to vote on a bill that could grant freedom of movement for Israelis in Gaza. Likud MK Avichai Bauron put forward a bill late Monday night to the Knesset that would permit the freedom of presence and movement of Israelis throughout Gaza. A part of this decision, the Knesset enacted a law to implement the Gaza disengagement, which defined, among other things, a ban on entry for Israelis. The ban on entry recalls dark periods in the history of the Jewish people. The bill uses the October 7th massacre as evidence of how giving into anti-Semitism leads to more malicious actions. The war with Islamists in Gaza must end with its total loss of control over the land. Therefore, one of the first steps the Knesset should take is to erase the terrible stain of no-go zone for Jews from Israeli law. Full freedom of presence and movement should be allowed in Gaza. I'm sorry, this is just utter madness. So yes, of course, Israelis should be banned from going into Gaza because, one, it's not their land, and two, they are engaging in a genocide. Yet this bill is trying to say, oh, well, Gaza is a no-go zone for Jews and it must end. This is fighting anti-Semitism. It's absolutely astonishing. Kevin, please give me a sane response.
If anything, this is one of the least surprising things that I've ever heard out of the Knesset, frankly. This is exactly what I would expect. This was never about Hamas. It was never about terrorism. It was never about the safety of Jewish people or Israeli citizens or anything of the sort. It was about land grabbing. It was always about land grabbing. You can see that from the fact that as soon as they got the opportunity, they stole more of the Golan Heights and are planning on extending settlements that they already had in the Golan Heights, Syrian territory. This is about the Zionist attempt to further the Greater Israel land grab scheme. Whether it takes 10 years or 1,000 years, they're going to try and do that. That's exactly what the Zionist plan actually is. I looked briefly into Avichai Godem, the guy who, the member of the Knesset that implemented this. He's a really interesting guy with a checkered past. This is not the first time he's been engaged in kind of international grabbing, both of land, but also of sea. He started an organisation which literally started nearly a war between Israel and Lebanon, the Israel-Lebanon maritime border dispute, because not only do Israel want to grab land, they want to grab territorial waters that may or may not have natural gas deposits. So he's already been involved in this kind of chicanery for a long time. This is the culmination of what this was always going to be about. The reason that they decided to do non-discriminatory bombing is because they wanted to destroy all of the buildings there. The fact that they destroyed the Parliament building, even though they knew it wasn't a threat and there were no Hamas, there was no tunnels. The fact that they destroyed the National University buildings, even though, again, they knew there was no danger and no tunnels underneath it, was because they wanted to clear the land so that they could build new Israeli settlements on this land. That's what this was always about. It was never about anything else. October the 7th, far from being the catastrophe that the Knesset and the Israeli government portrayed it as, was from their perspective a massive opportunity. They wanted to grab the land, and this gave them the opportunity and cover to do so. And that's what they're doing.
And it's colonialism dressed up as fighting anti-Semitism.
Yeah. Well, they will always try and...
It's racism, it's apartheid,
Yeah.
it's genocide, but it's also resource grabbing too.
Yeah.
That's what colonialists do to make their own nation wealthier with resources. And to dress it up as fighting anti-Semitism, you know, me and you and many others are no longer shocked at that because everything is anti-Semitic. So it's not a shocking thing anymore.
Yeah, they will try and treat anything they do as fighting against anti-Semitism, even though, as a person of Irish descent myself, this week having spent quite a lot of time watching Israelis be phenomenally racist towards the Irish people, to the point where the phrase "Palestinian" got trending on Twitter, which
a lot of people are taking it as
yeah, exactly. The Irish
of honour.
The Irish people are more than happy to take that. Yeah,
me.
exactly. Again, the Zionists can't win a cultural war because, for a start off, in a cultural war, the other side can fire back. You're not just shooting innocent children, which is the kind of war they tend to want to fight in reality. But yeah, the idea that these people are anti-racist when they are the most phenomenally racist people on the planet is ridiculous. They're grotesque. Whilst engaging in an ethnic cleansing and genocide campaign, to dress that up as anti-racist and therefore to oppose them is to be racist is a disgusting mutation of what those words mean.
Well, thank you for speaking sense, because keeping up with Israel literally makes you feel insane.
Yeah.
I do want to address a comment, actually, from Jim Speak. I think it's time Turn Left start having meetings about starting a Discord. We've had discussions about this, actually, and I think more and more people are asking. So I think that's something we're seriously going to consider. I don't know much about Discord. I'm going to pass that on to someone else. I mean, you've got a bit of experience on Discord, haven't you?
Discord is Hamas. Yeah.
Well,
it's all anti-Semitism.
We're definitely going to start a Discord now because it's Hamas.
Exactly. I condemn Discord. Just saying.
Do you condemn Discord? So I think that's something we should do.
Yeah, it's a good way to like grow community and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed that, you know, the first 3 years of Turn Left is it was just me. It was pre-recorded commentary videos, and I felt like doing lives, we've had far more of a community. You're seeing the same people pop up, and there's something about doing a live. I think it's because people are watching in real time and you can respond in real time. So I love that, and that's one of the moves to live. And by the way, we haven't stopped doing other pre-recorded content, as you'll know. But the move to live has been really good in engaging that sort of community. And I think we most likely will do a Discord. I did want to address that. But that is all we have time for. I want to thank everyone who tuned in. And of course, I want to thank Kevin, your amazing insights as always.
Thank you for having me.
You're actually on our last normal island before Christmas.
Oh, brilliant.
Remember, if you haven't liked the stream already, then please do. And if you're not subscribed, then make sure you do that too. Come back after the live is over and drop a comment that helps the algorithm. And of course, if you want to see Turn Left continue to grow, then share this stuff. Like the stream, that helps. Share it with friends and family. There's only a few of us working voluntarily, and we want to be in a position where this is our full-time work. We can dedicate our entire day to making a brilliant show rather than sort of, you know, creating the scripts last minute after work. Also, we can upgrade our equipment. We can have a studio. We can create more ambitious content because we want to build a real socialist media alternative. So once again, you can head over to turnleftmedia.co.uk/support to donate. You can do a monthly Patreon or one-off donation. You can also follow us on Blue Sky. Our handle is @turnleftmedia.co.uk. Thank you for watching. You can catch us this Saturday evening for the debrief, and that will be our last live show for Christmas. It's going to be a fun one. We'll be looking at highlights of the year. We'll do a Q&A and other stuff we can think of from now until then. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.
The media support social
Mein
justice
Führer!
on social media. Thank you. Turn left.
I do mute myself for that bit, so they don't hear that. Still my favourite bit of the show. What am I... Hang on. Yeah, I understand. What?
Hello.
Hello.
You set me up to fail today.
Why?
Well, firstly, when you move the videos, you put them in the box which says videos, which then put them into 3 different layers instead of 3 different videos. So when they were playing, you had to click on the video first and then click the video. And then it also said it was moving back to host, and then it didn't, and it started playing the second video.
So that's the thing. So the reason why we have our own layer now is because on the video you don't have you won't hear our sound because I'm not on the layer. But that's where you have to go into studio mode, because you have to. It's like think about it as a playlist, and you're ready to like play that playlist. Into studio mode, you go into the video layer, you hit video 1, then you hit like transfer to go live, and then once that's done, you then hide the video 1 and go to video 2. It's not simply showing it. So then when you clicked on video, all 3 of those videos were hidden. That's why it's just a grey screen. So I just took over that. In terms of it supposedly going back to host, it didn't. Yeah, you did, because you've done it before.
No, I haven't done it like that way before.
You 100% have.
Haven't. And then also
You're
graphic 6 was missing, so fuck
was
you.
it? Okay, I apologise.
Yeah, oh, I don't know where the graphic is, but maybe the producer can do something about it. The graphic is missing. And also, you didn't respond to any of my breaking news, which I'm very disappointed about.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I
What was the breaking news? We can react to it now. We're still live on my end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the breaking news, Kevin, imagine this, is that Elon Musk might be getting nominated to become Speaker of the House in the US Congress.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's idiocracy. Brilliant. Cool.
Yeah, because just for the sake of the audience, unlike obviously our parliament in the US, you can nominate anyone. It doesn't have to be a congressperson. So that's getting.
Although to be fair, they do have a very narrow majority in the House, so like I would still think that would be difficult for them to get past, because you literally would only need 3 or 4, I think, to either abstain or vote against.
But I think the issue is what's happening right now on Twitter is that Elon Musk and the Republicans, the really MAGA Republicans, are attacking Republican congressmen who were voting against that bill yesterday to stop the government from getting shut down. And they're literally saying, like, we're just going to literally put a primary against you if you disagree with us. And Elon Musk has threatened multiple primaries already against people if they disagree with anything that.
Do you remember when they used to try and hide the fact that it was an oligarchy? Crazy days. Remember when they used to pretend it was an actual democracy? Fucking hell. Like last week. Jesus.
Yeah.
I should have also, Kevin, I should have raided into your stream. Did it work?
I have no fucking idea. I'll be honest with you, I've been ignoring my chat and stream, so I assume it's still going on my end, but I don't fucking know. Thank you, Curtis and Kevin.
We're all fucking live at the same time.
Love you all already on Patreon. Well, thank you. I don't know if you have raided into me. I don't know. Where would I find out that information?
I don't know, because I only found out because loads of people are like, oh, we just came from Kevin, and I think loads of people are like, oh, welcome, Kevin.
Okay, well,
like,
if people in my chat, can you tell me, did Curtis send you here? And if so, go back to where you came from.
not us, because we ain't live anymore.
Yeah, well, yeah, true.
Do you know what I'd do if I were the Democrats? I'd choose like the most chaotic option. I know it'd be like really bad for the world and probably just really bad for everyone.
Well, and vote for Elon Musk.
I just vote for everything. Let everything go through to accelerate the fuck up that is about to happen over the next few years. So just like let them do everything that they want. Just let them do it.
That's just accelerationist, though.
Yeah, I love it. Let's do it.
You love it. You fucking crazy.
Downfall of America.
Well, it sort of doesn't matter because they're so fucking feckless anyway that even if they try and oppose it, they won't stop it.
Yeah, Democrats are so weak.
So let them have their way with it and then fucking destroy the place and then maybe pick up the pieces afterwards or something.
What's going on with the...
Maybe?
Oh.
No. Apparently you did raid into... Okay, yeah. Hello, everyone.
Oh, good.
You can hit the follow button... No, subscribe on YouTube, can't you? Yeah. If you wanted to.
Okay. Right. I have not ate yet. Actually, I need to eat.
Eaten? You've not eaten yet. Please.
What did I say?
Ate.
I've not ate yet.
I've not ate yet.
And I always get cool posh middle class, and then like my working class voice comes out like now and again. I'm not bloody ate yet.
You do, honestly, you do sound a bit country sometimes, and it is funny. Very
I'm from
occasionally,
Bristol.
very occasionally, a West Country note will pop through, and it's just yeah, it is delightful.
Do you like it?
Very rustic. Honestly, it's sexy.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm glad you like it. I, as a Bristolian, I hate our accents. It's just.
All I'll say is the Birmingham accent, when polled, people prefer silence. That's literally true. So, like, just count yourself blessing that.
I mean,
you're probably
they ain't wrong, are they?
You're probably up 2 percentage points on silence, so you're fine, I reckon.
Silence. To be fair, your accent isn't that strong.
No, they knock it out of you at uni, don't they? They knock.
Where are you from, Kevin?
Strap you down
I'm from
and knock it out of
Birmingham.
you.
Oh, I can hear it when you say the word Birmingham.
I'm from Bromma.
But you ain't like a proper strong Brummie. Yeah.
Well, I used to be. And like I say, I went to uni, and you hang around with enough posh kids, and it kind of rubs off on you a bit, I think. And now I just talk to Americans, so like I'm surprised I don't sound like I'm from
you have
fucking.
a lot of discord with the Americans.
Yeah, Tennessee or
Yanks.
something. But anyway, you've not ate yet.
I'm not eaten yet.
Yeah, so you should probably go and do that, I reckon.
Mm-hmm. Well, as always, knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, no, it was a good one.
Yeah.
Love it.
Can we spend? I need to spend a bit more time in this software, please, Curtis. Next time.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we've got a big break. So after Saturday, that we're done for Christmas. So we can do some like little training shit or whatever.
Please.
You're there. You're on there on Saturday, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we make it like a fun one, I think.
Yeah, I want to find like the funniest moments from the year. I want to get people to vote on like what's the funniest moment of the year. It might be like Keir Starmer's sausages. I don't know. I'm trying to think like what else. What else
Kev, do you have like a funny moment of the year or your funniest? Moment?
I'll go with the sausages because that's one of my fucking noise alerts when people do it. Is Keir Starmer saying release the sausages?
It couldn't have been any better though, couldn't it? Like it literally.
Oh, it was a belter. What the fuck was he thinking of? Was he just hungry or what? Like...
Yeah, and it's not even like a slight slip up where he said the word wrong. He literally says it with another word and coherently says the word sausages. Perfectly.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, exactly, and it's not even like it's a word. It's not even like it's a word that sounds that. I mean, it's got the udges at the end, but like it's
of the sausages, hostages.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
Incredible.
I don't know as well if was it this year? Was it in the election campaign when Rishi Sunak was sat at a table with some like teenagers talking about his favorite drink, and then he was just
that was
like
years ago, I think.
Because I think he did it twice. Was it years ago?
Oh yeah. Well, the moment of the year has got to be.
He literally said I'm a cokehead. I think. Did he say that?
I'm a bit of a cokehead. Oh, not that coke. And it's like you're fucking talking to like 13-year-olds.
No, the favourite moment of the year has got to be the announcement of the election with him stood outside in the rain, like a little drowned rat boy. It's amazing. Oh, it's the funniest. It's it's the perfect. If I was to have designed a thing to show how badly he was going to lose, it would be that exact thing that he did.
I think.
Amazing.
What is? I don't want to give like it away because we're probably going to wait till Saturday. But like. Who's your like villain of the year? And by the way, don't say Netanyahu because we're all going to say that. So apart from Netanyahu, who would you say is like your melt or villain of the year?
Keir Starmer. Fuck him. Yeah. Look, he's a fucking meltoid. He's not the most evil person of the year necessarily because again you've taken him off the table. But yeah, Keir Starmer for lying about everything and for going from winning a landslide in an election to being as popular as fucking childhood brain cancer. You know.
I love how you put it so succinctly.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Well, he is. Was it down to like 19% approval rating?
If you were to poll it, it would be quite tight, wouldn't it?
Honestly, I think...
Can't wait for that Stats for Lefty graphic would have got...
Yeah, the Stats for Lefty graphic. He's got like...
Starmer.
Yeah, the clap, childhood brain cancer, pond scum, Keir Starmer. There you go. Boom.
I think he probably, if you were to ask the country, I think he would actually be like, if you were to say who's your, well, if you say
have you seen
politicians, who's your villain? They probably would choose Starmer.
Yeah. Have you seen the word cloud thing they did of him? Where they and the word liar was the biggest one. But what I quite like is the word cunt is quite big as well. Like.
And rightly so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But it just goes to show you that, there's not a lot of love for him. Yeah. Anyway.
And the thing is, though, his personal polling was all right before the election.
Well, yeah, because people didn't really know who the fuck he was.
Do you know what? I saw a tweet which is so accurate, which is like, being left wing is having a position, getting attacked for it, only for a few months or a few years later to be proven right. And it's like, when it comes to Keir Starmer being unpopular and dishonest, it was like, oh, you're just a lefty whinging, attacking Starmer. Well, the country has seen it now, and we've been proven right. But we've been saying for years how dishonest is, and suddenly the media like, is he dishonest? Like, yeah, we've been saying that for like 5 years.
Because the media were fine when he was being dishonest in order to lie to lefties to get elected.
Exactly.
It's now he's fucking over like old people and middle class people and farmers.
And that just won't do, will it?
Yeah.
That just won't do. Right, okay, all of your video footage has been uploaded, so we're going to get some clips out for tomorrow.
Good.
I am going to lovingly leave you so I can eat.
Yeah.
There's no good sources online for like, and no one's compiled a list of like the funniest moments of 2024. I can't find.
Really? Politics Joe's usually quite good at stuff like that.
I can't find it. It's so annoying. I'm trying because I can't really think of that many more like really funny moments. I don't know. Like the stuff that we found funny that weren't funny, as in like obviously like Jacob Rees-Mogg, Liz Truss losing their seats, but I mean like actual comical shit.
Again, one of the favourite things from the election campaign was Rishi Sunak like dipping out on the D-Day stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was good. Oh, it was a
mad.
mistake.
To go and do a shit interview.
Oh, we forgot about the fucking Labour MP who just like punched someone. I've just found a.
That was quite recent, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's only recent. There's an account on Twitter called Insane Political British Moments. Insane Moments in British
they're
politics.
a great account because they do get some good stuff, don't they?
Yeah, just scroll back through their timeline, I guess.
Yeah. you fucking whacked him.
Oh god, and now like fucking Keir Starmer and Kemi Badenoch like fighting over lunch and sandwiches is just like a shit story.
That is a shit story.
True, but did you see the zinger he had? We can talk about it over a sandwich or a steak. Oh, the fucking media love that.
Oh, I bet
dickheads.
Not that vegan crap. I did. Was it yesterday? I saw a GB News article. Yeah, article that said young people are going to bed 20 minutes earlier, and here's why it's woke. Yeah. So apparently, sleeping is woke. Yeah, that's an actual sentence I can say in British politics in 2024, that sleeping is woke.
Yep. Which is ironic, really, when you think about the word.
Well, it is. I'm glad you made that point. It is very ironic.
Did we find out why Mark Dolan left GB News?
No, he said he's going to do a statement apparently today. He was the fucker I was supposed to be on the panel with the first time I went on. It was Mark Dolan.
Oh, really?
I'm really annoyed because I really wanted to be on a panel with Mark Dolan.
Please don't say he backed out, because I heard he had balls of steel.
I was going to say that to him, though. But I was going to be like, I used to enjoy watching on Balls of Steel. I guess you've fallen across now, haven't you? Actually, probably fell down from Balls of Steel to GB News. But, yeah, I just wanted to call him a grifter because he was like a liberal. I don't know if he was liberal, but he was like a big Remainer. And, yeah, he made like a cartoon. No, what did he do? Like a parody of Boris Johnson and stuff. And you just know he went on the grift train with GB News, and now suddenly he's like a Brexiteer and right wing. Like, he don't believe half the shit he says. A bit like Darren Grimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, he's the biggest grifter. So,
what are you gonna have to eat, guys?
Got no idea.
I set you up then for sausages, but never mind.
I don't know.
Sausages,
I'm really hungry, so I hope it's something I really like.
You should have sausages, and then like the next day, when you go to the toilet, you can release them. What?
Release the sausages? Yeah. That's very good. On that note, I'm fucking leaving.
Yeah.
Goodbye and farewell.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye. Has anyone got anything for me to watch? Because I don't know what the fuck to do. What should we watch? Should we watch? What should we watch? I don't know. What's this? Can Charlotte Durham? What is this? Who are these? What Jack Mellor is doing the things. I don't know what the fuck's going on there. Yeah, so that's basically what I had planned for today, was to do that show. So if other people have things they want me to watch, now is the time to do that. Shall I set a goal? I haven't set a goal on YouTube yet. Let's do one of them. Okay. We'll do 1 hour for that. What should I do, chat? What should the incentive be? Yeah, the Jack Meller. The Jack Meller. Watch Sonic 3 with me. Well, that would have to be if you're the one that gives money, I guess. Hang on. If I put I'll watch Sonic 3 with Lace, we'll have to do that on Discord, because I don't even know where the fuck you live. I'll just put I'll watch Sonic 3, and we'll sort out when and where another time. Maybe I could do we could totally 100% legally, of course. We could do a Discord watch along or something. I was so absorbed in Turn Left episode I didn't realise NJ was on. Well, there you go. What's this? One Hit Wonder Informer by Snow. Let's fucking go. I'll turn the voice thingamajig back on as well.
So, to recap, for those of you who haven't watched the last couple episodes, the top 2 songs in the country right now are 1, a reggae song made by Canadians, and 2, a white person affecting the vocal mannerisms of black people in a highly questionable manner. The time is right. Informer, you know, say that I'm a stormy, I go glam. I like you boom boom down. I like you boom boom down. Informer. Yeah, the 90s were a good time for rapid-fire, hard-to-karaoke pop jams, but even people who can do It's the End of the World...
Oh, a jiggity China, the Chinese chicken. You eat a drumstick and your brain starts sticking. Oh, watch your next files with the lights on. Fuck yes, bare naked ladies, motherfuckers. Oh, it reminds me of being young and thin and beautiful. God, I was fucking hot.
As we know it, and I Feel Fine from memory without stuttering, don't dare to take on Informer. Not only does it go faster than Sonic the Hedgehog on cocaine, the words themselves didn't seem to make any sense. People might have assumed it was because the song was from some foreign country, and they would be right, although that country was a little further north than they realized. They probably expected this to be by some dreadlock Rasta, not a guy who looked like a forgotten 90210 cast member. And his name was Snow, for God's sakes. It was like he went, what's a name that'll get across as quickly as possible that I'm white and Canadian? Snow! Of course! But more than the song itself, what really got me interested in Informer is the parody Jim Carrey did when he was on In Living Color. I caught it on YouTube recently.
Yeah, with that, well, yeah. Just, yeah. We watched that the other day. It was fucking amazing.
I'm just a middle-class worker from Toronto. Now, I thought this was just going to be another send-up of a pop buffoon like they did for Milli Vanilli and Vanilla Ice, but this was a lot more than that.
Oh, for fuck's sake, we've reached our goal. Thank you, James Holmes, with £2. Merry Christmas, etc. I've now got to go and... we're gonna... Oh, for fuck's sake, watch fucking Sonic 3. Ah...
I should pay my base and start betting out Mary.
The In Living Color writers didn't think this guy was funny. They were offended. To them, Snow was a disgusting minstrel show act who stole and watered down black culture and embodied everything wrong with the hypocritical double standards of a racist society and record industry. Holy shit, that's a lot of heavy stuff to throw on Informer of all things. I was just looking for Homie the Clown videos, goddamn. I may have bitten off more than I can chew here.
Look, this is no different than fucking M.R, is it? Like, this guy pretending to be black is just M.R. Hang on, where are we? This guy, the Rasta, the white Rasta from Kent guy. Still my favourite nonsense, this one. Oh, come on. Don't be shit, internet.
When my fuck pussy third red. Reggae Selector UK, Emda. You know I think, fully active, my father. Yo!
One leap of blood clot smoking out the air. Fucking out the kitchen, she was fucking out the chair. Fucking out the bathroom, cock it up on the stairs. And when me stepping out the club, every gal a draw near. Every gal a go on bad. Me have the style and pattern to make the gal and go on bad. Pussy off it happy, pussy off it sad. Pussy off it climax type, pussy you fi have. Shiggity wickedy slam. Lick up me talawat and body long. If you're looking for your 1 minute man, goddamn, she get the wrong man. Big bumbo class me for busting on me head. A sexy gal say she want to give me head. When me fuck pussy turn red. Gymnastic, now the pussy dead. When me die a court more, down I go zed.
Louis Bega is German. Fuck off, is he German? He's what? He was born in Munich. What the fuck off? Why am I just learning this? Chat. Yeah, there's no way I'm just learning this. There's no way I've been bopsing to fucking Mambo number 5 for all these years without knowing it was a fucking German. Unbelievable. He was born in Munich, Bavaria, in West Germany, obviously because he's old. That's mental. I'll get done for copyright if I play fucking Mambo number 5, won't I? Ah, fuck it, I don't even care. We're playing a bit of Mambo number 5, okay? It's such a tune. How did I not know that? Well, I don't fucking know stuff. Thank you, Crashtonomy with Bitty Bits, and thank you, Idiosyncrasy with Bitty Bits. Much love. What the fuck?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mambo number 5. One, two, three, four, five. Everybody in the car, so come on, let's ride to the liquor store around the corner. The boys say they want some gin and juice, but I really don't wanna be a buzz like I had last week. I must stay deep, cause talk is cheap. I like Angela, Pamela, Sandra, and Rita. And as I continue, you know they're getting sweeter. So what can I do? I really bag you, my lord.
Anyway, that's enough. It's a fucking tune, but that's gonna get me copyrighted.
And to top it off, I don't actually know that much about reggae. Well, too late to change the topic now. Prepare to licky boom boom down, everyone. What? Snow's real name is Darren O'Brien. He's of Irish descent, and he's from Toronto. He actually says so in his big hit. Not that anyone can tell. Now, he says he got into reggae music because he grew up in public housing in a pretty diverse neighborhood, and a lot of his friends were actually Jamaican immigrants who eventually encouraged him to give music a shot. The name Snow was bestowed on him by his friends because he was a white boy and all, and I think in retrospect they gave him a bad stage name. Because, you know, there was this other white guy with a really white name.
Go white boy, go!
Look, the comparison between Snow and Vanilla Ice is pretty unavoidable. They were both white boys making black music. They had stage names that emphasized their whiteness. They even had kind of similar faces. Like, you know, take off the glasses, doof up the hair a bit. He'd make a pretty decent Vanilla Ice decoy.
Yeah.
The sad thing
that
is...
was Johnny Bravo's hair as well, by the way, which I like.
I wouldn't call the comparison very fair. Unlike Vanilla Ice, Snow actually did come from the projects. He did have that rough gangsta background. He did a couple stints in jail. And it didn't give him a shred of street cred because Vanilla Ice claimed to have all those...
Yeah, like the fucking... Didn't he... Wasn't that song... Wasn't Informer literally about him being convicted of attempted murder or something? Or being charged with it or something? I don't know. Whatever.
Things, and he was a complete liar, so everyone assumed Snow was lying too. It's really amazing just how much Vanilla Ice ruined being white. God, he sucked. Just the worst man in history. Okay, anyway, one of his DJ friends took him to New York and introduced him to old school rapper MC Shan, and Shan liked him and decided to produce his entire debut album, 12 Inches of Snow. See, it's a pun, because it's a 12-inch record, get it? 12 inches of
snow, yes.
It's a dick joke, isn't it?
Yeah, it's also...
12, I just got that. Now, people call Snow a white rapper a lot. Technically, he's not a rapper, but he was using hip-hop style production and working with rappers, so the shoe kind of fits. And his first single was pretty gangsta. It was about, you know, stabbing people and getting arrested. And fun fact, right after he recorded his part for that song, he did, in fact, get arrested. Isn't that ironic? I don't actually care if it's ironic or not. Stop commenting. Snow went to jail for 8 months in Canada on an old charge. Eventually, other guards and inmates said he was getting played on much music. He said he didn't believe him at first. They probably got him confused with Marky Mark or something. But yeah, it was him. By the time he got out in early 1993, Informer was rocketing up the charts on its way to a #1 spot in the United States. This seems absolutely insane to me now.
Informer, you know, say that I'm a stormy, I go blame. I like you bum bum down. Take the man that say that I'm a stormy, stab somebody down the lane. I like you bum bum down.
But you know, 1993 was a weird time. The era of dorky, goofy pop novelties like You Can't Touch This and I'm Too Sexy, that was just about over. And hardcore gangsta rap was about to take over completely, like not just in the underground, but like in the mainstream. And Informer hit like right in that window of over...
Coolio, that tune was so good. Oh, God, I love that song.
Overlap. Oh, and there was this brief little blip of reggae rap that was happening at the time too. So this could have gotten big at absolutely no other time. Even so, why this? I mean, this isn't just gibberish. Okay, it's not gibberish, it's the slang of another culture that I'm not a part of. But it's a culture he wasn't a part of either. I mean, come on, right? The only lyrics anyone knows from this is the licky boom boom down, which sounds like a little kid trying to swear. Everything else is a mystery.
No, it sounds like Analingus. Is what it sounds like.
It's going too fast. Slow it down. And MTV did recut this video with actual subtitles, but even they didn't seem able to keep up. Detective Man said daddy. There's some words missing there, I swear to God. Detective Man said According to what I've read, Informer licky boom boom down means something like, I'm gonna kick that snitch's ass. In Living Color said that Snow got away with it because he was white. I think it's more because no one knew what he was saying. Matter of fact, if you do know the words, it's actually softer than you realize. He gets arrested for a stabbing in the song, but he never says that he did it. And he never takes revenge on the Informer, he just threatens to. The first half of the song is just about him getting arrested. In fact, it's the only gangsta song I've ever heard where the narrator gets his anus probed. Yeah, not so hardcore.
True.
Licky boom boom down indeed. And the second half is just him calling his girlfriend and clarifying that he is, in fact, not black.
What do you mean I look like the evil variant of me? What on earth do you mean?
I feel a little at a loss. I'm not Jamaican. I don't know if he's using any of these slang terms correctly or not. It sounds convincing enough to me. Doesn't sound disrespectful in any case. It doesn't make me offended. It's just...
People them say you come from Jamaica.
Dude, that's not how you sound. We know that's not how you sound. You don't talk like that. Your parents don't talk like that. It sounds fake. You're a fake. No one buys it.
You're a phony! Hey everybody! This guy's a great big phony!
And when you're trying to be a hard-ass gangster,
It's so on a sort of similar note, when British singers sing in an American accent, you just think you're a fucking cunt, mate. What are you doing? If you can't sing, don't fucking sing. If you have to put on an accent to make it sound remotely fucking reasonable, just stop. Okay, I'm gonna do one more goal. I've decided if we do 2 a stream, that's not the end of the world, is it? You know what? For the goal on this one, I'll make Knuckles and Sonic kiss. Knuckles on Sonic action. Assuming I've still got Knuckles. There it is. Yeah. There you go. Have at it, I guess. Mankey Yankee, can he sing? True. True.
one unforgivable crime is being unconvincing. And besides, look, I didn't have to know his skin color to tell you this is some washed out sellout reggae. Even compared to like Maxi Priest, he sounded like sellout pop. Like, who's gonna say this is their favorite song? Anyone? Why would they? It is, like so many songs I cover, not anything that really resonates. It's just a catchy, stupid novelty to be enjoyed for a few months before evaporating into thin air. Too bad no one informed him of that.
The failed follow-up,
I actually started off my research by listening to Snow's first album, and I got to one song where I was like, please, oh please, let this have been the next single. And sure enough,
Girl, I've been hurt, now I need another lover. You are no girl, I've been hurt, now I need another lover.
even in a world without Vanilla Ice and where no one cared about his skin color or where he was from, I think this would have been enough to kill his career. Now technically this was a hit, number 19 on Billboard, which might actually make it worse because that means people actually saw this. You don't let your first hit be about stabbing police informants and then you follow it up with Girl, I've Been Hurt.
Been acting kinda strange lately, but I already know what's been going on.
Like, I didn't mind his voice on Informer, but his slow romantic singing voice is just, oh, it's just whiny. It actually does remind me of Vanilla Ice. And also, look at this. There is no way to look cool and hip in the backwoods Canadian tundra. Ask Rousdower. I mean, it's nice that he wants to rep for Canada, but I think that was a huge mistake. No one thinks of Canada as a hotbed for urban music. Like, Canada let Tom Green have a rap career up there. That's true. We as Americans have this impression of Canada as this clean, magical place without poverty, crime, major cities, or any other culture besides boring white people. Now, that isn't true at all, but that's the impression. You say you come from the mean streets of Canada, unless you mean you took some rough checks in hockey, an American will just laugh. Of course, I mean, that was back then. Now that Drake's gotten big, he is bestowing onto Toronto all his hardcore, dirty gangsta street. Finish that sentence. But there is a reason this was filmed in Canada. He couldn't leave the country. Yeah, remember I said about the arrests? Snow said it was just for a couple bar fights, but that meant he couldn't get a green card. He couldn't even cross the border. Sucks for him. He did release a couple other singles from this album, but none of them charted.
So without being able to tour in America, he was fucked, basically, right?
Hard to get your song on the charts when you literally can't promote it in America, the biggest market for it. And look, the shelf life for pop rappers in the 90s was pretty bad. And even at his biggest, no one really bought into Snow. Even for a white guy, he didn't look the part with his dorky, hipster, wire-rimmed glasses. Dude, you look like you're angry because you were up all night doing research for your grad thesis. Look, Canada looks after their own. The radio stations are literally required by law to play a certain percentage of Canadian artists. So as you can imagine, in his home country, Snow did not very well. His next two albums tanked, even in Canada. It's not like he ever stopped recording by any means, he just never really found an audience again. If you want a good index into how far his star fell, Over the course of the 6 albums he recorded after Informer, he was nominated 3 times by the Canadian Music Awards for Best Reggae Recording, and lost. All 3 times, there was better Canadian reggae than Snow. It wasn't all bad news. He developed a major following in Japan, of course, and also he once scored a #1 hit in, you'll never guess, Jamaica. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I was thinking it was going to be like some whack-ass place, like some place you'd never, like Uzbekistan or some shit. Jamaica. What the fuck? Oh, that's fucking wild. How bad was Jamaican reggae at the time? That this was the best they had. This was the best tune in Jamaica at the time. Fuck me. That is shameful.
I mean, it was a remix version that had actual Jamaican superstars like Buju Banton and Beanie Man on it, but...
Oh, okay, well that's... okay, so it wasn't really his song then, okay.
No, still, this guy putting on a fake patois, only marginally better than Miss Cleo, had a #1 hit in Jamaica. For what it's worth, he did notch a couple more hits in his home country in the early 2000s, and he still recorded some like party jams too. And you know what? Nothing says party hip-hop like the Trailer Park Boys.
What do you mean? You didn't put me on the list. That's what I'm doing. I had to try.
My God, this is Canadian. Also, his wife died of cancer in 2009, tragically, and since then he mostly does work for charity, so don't you feel bad watching some jackass who's never accomplished anything make fun of him on the internet.
No, I'm fine.
Well, no, not really. I found Snow a lot less hateable than his reputation would suggest. He wasn't nearly the obnoxious, incompetent twerp that Vanilla Ice was, and is. And Snow was in fact very respectful of the art form he co-opted. He recorded many times in Jamaica, and I never thought his love of reggae was shallow or insincere. But I don't know, Snow is not a guy I'd really want to stick my neck out for, you know? Like the fake accent, man, it's hard to get around. And Licky Boom Boom Down, what are you supposed to do with that?
True. I kind of want to listen to that rock and roll version of it now. So let's see if we can find Informer covers. I'm in the mood now. Fuck it. Pan flute cover. Jesus Christ. Okay. Come on. Oh, for God's sake. Why is my internet being shit? Okay, we get, yeah, okay. A metal cover. Oh, let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. Love it. Is there a bard call? I don't know. I don't know. Oh, it apparently no one wants Knuckles and Sonic to kiss. Apparently. On the YouTube, no one cares. Studios.
Informer, you know say that was on me, I go there. I lick your boom down. The victim understand that we go be down, let's over down the lane. I lick your boom down. Informer, you know say that was on me, I go there. I lick your boom down. The victim man, det sätter den med stå bestämmer som en överlev. I like you boom boom down. Polisen under kommer när they roll down me door. Running a batch through my window. So they put me in the back of car at the station. From that point on I reach my destination.
It is very Static X, yeah, very much so. Anyway, to finish things off for the evening, as it were, from the Majority Report, someone suggested it. Let's have a look.
The biggest story remains the killing of the United Healthcare CEO by Luigi Mangione, allegedly, still has to be proven, but it's the reaction. And it's not just, like, I think that there's a lot of people in media that want to boil it down to, like, oh, people are thirsting over him because the internet's stupid. That is not what it is.
There's some that all the time when a hot guy...
Thank you, Idiosyncrasy, by the way. Well, it's not just that he's, him being hot probably helps, but the reason that people can allow themselves to feel sexual towards this man in a way that they wouldn't if it was, like... that fucking the white guy who killed the black guy on the subway, right, is because what he did was seen as a kind of righteous and kind of bad boy thing, right? It's something that isn't, not only is not off-putting, but is actually quite not heartwarming as such, but like makes him seem like a good person, even if the thing he did in a very literal sense was bad. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can play into that if that's the kind of, if you do find him hot or whatever. But people on the internet do that anyway. I've seen people on the internet going on about how they'd fuck Osama bin Laden. Like, some people find weird fucking people hot or whatever. Halogen, you got that. What the fuck is this? What the Phantom of Black. What the fuck was that? What was that? What is this? Finland's Eurovision from 1981. Like, if there's one country in the world whiter than Canada, it's fucking Finland, surely. I don't speak Finnish, but I think he said Rasta. I think the word... Oh, look at those fucking trousers, mate. What? We have gay jester chic going on here. Fuck me sideways. Now, I don't know if this did happen or not, but I do hope that Finland, as the entire nation, not just the people involved in it, the entire nation, were put on trial at The Hague for this. I don't know if that happened or not. If it did, I will let it rest. But if not, justice needs to be done, Finland. This crime cannot be allowed to go unpunished. Also, he looks a little bit like a young Bono. Bob Marley, son. It's actually, I mean, to be fair, if it weren't for the fact that it was white people singing in a black accent from Finland, like, I'd be okay with that. It wasn't the worst song ever. It wasn't good, but like... He looks like Robin Williams. He does look like Robin Williams. Mork and Mindy era Robin Williams. As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I realize there's nothing left. As I've been living in the cold, even my mama thinks that my mind is gone.
You know, again, the Night Stalker. Watch the Night Stalker documentary. He had groupies in the 90s. It was just a guy who...
Coolio did die, yeah. But wasn't it of like something natural? I don't think he wasn't like murderized or anything, was he? As far as I'm aware. I could be wrong. I don't know. Informer.
Was killing people. Like, yeah. Like this sort of thing is much different than that because, like most people again don't just support shooting people in the streets, but also when you're presented, say, hey, feel sorry for this guy who, oh, by the way, he has a job that it sits him atop a pyramid of intense cruelty and death. People are going to have a reaction that way.
They are, and so I think a lot of very wealthy people are afraid right now. We saw that in the immediate aftermath.
Good. They fucking should be. They should be.
Healthcare executives or hospital and pharmaceutical executives took their information off of websites. There was one healthcare CEO, or health insurance CEO is probably more accurate, that I think petitioned to remove his Wikipedia page, which you can see. So... or at least someone
security spending too.
Yeah, or at least someone.
Oh no, it wasn't natural. My bad. His name, which was, by the way, was Artis Leon Ivy Jr. was his real name. That's Coolio, actually. On September the 28th, 2022, Ivy was discovered unresponsive on the bathroom floor of a friend's house in Los Angeles and was pronounced dead. He was 59 years old. The LA coroner's office announced that Ivy died from an accidental overdose of fentanyl, heroin and methamphetamine, with cardiomyopathy, chronic asthma and cigarette smoking having played a role in his death. He was cremated in a private funeral with a portion of his ashes encased in jewellery from his family and the rest put into an urn. That is a bit mental. But there you go.
Connected to him. Doesn't that, if you're supposed to be providing care for people, but you need a security force to protect you from the people that you're supposedly taking care of with your for-profit business, doesn't that say it all? I don't know. Well, Peter Thiel, one of the richest guys in this country, in the world.
Government contractor Peter Thiel got a bunch of money for surveillance. Basically spying.
All of these rich cunts are all fucking absurd recipients of public money. All of them. Welfare queens to a man.
On you and selling all the collated information to police departments and other sort of security forces.
Also quite close with J.D. Vance, who is going to be the VP.
Oh, yeah, I mean, J.D. Vance basically his assistant.
And so when you hear Peter Thiel speak, this is probably a pretty good summary of how the right-wing populist, I say with the most sarcasm I can even muster, Republican administration.
Oh yeah, the populists, by the way, in their Doge Act, they're seeking to cut some 116 billion or whatever from public spending, excludes the military completely. So they're not going to cut the military budget slightly. No, not even by a cent. But you know, Chen Qug is very, very optimistic. He's very optimistic about Trump. Cool.
That's incoming with Trump feels about this particular case, and we're gonna make fun of Peter Thiel because he's so bad at speaking and communicating, but he's also very afraid.
And to those who think this shooting,
are you in a fucking sauna? What the fuck? Why are you sweating like this?
is a hero because he did it because he said this healthcare executive was presiding over a healthcare system which kills thousands of Americans by denying them cover. What would you say to them?
Okay, malfunction on the Teal bot. What the fuck? Is all of the sweat getting into the fucking circuitry and short wiring him or what? Short circuiting him is the phrase I was looking for there. What the fuck is wrong with him? Say words with your face. Big boy words. Come on, alien man.
You gonna cry?
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, clearly you don't know what the fuck to say. Yeah, that bit was obvious. Yeah, you obviously don't know what to say. Yes. Fair enough.
I still think you should try to make an argument.
You should.
And I think this is you should, there may be things wrong with our healthcare system.
Oh wow.
But
really? You think there might be some things wrong with the healthcare system? Like what? Pray tell, Mr. Teal, Mr. Libertarian fucking sweaty douchebag, Mr. Teal. Do tell us. What's wrong with the American healthcare system? Why hasn't the private sector solved all of the problems?
You have to make an argument, and you have to try to find a way to convince people, and change it by that. And this is not going to work. And, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, there are all sorts of things one could say about it, but
try one.
Yeah, try any of the things. Oh, you beat me to it, bastard! I couldn't pause in time. Yeah, try any of those things, because there are lots of things that can be said about it. Say them. This is your opportunity on fellow alien reptoid show haver. Piers Morgan on his show. This is your platform. Say some of those things. Say some words. Any words. At all. No? Or just sit there gibbering. Either way,
I don't think. And
you don't think? Yeah.
Again, I think I think the.
What the fuck is? Look, he doesn't have a stutter. Okay, Peter Thiel has spoken publicly in the past. He does not have a stutter. This isn't ableism on my part. He speaks perfectly fluently on some occasions. What the fuck is wrong with him that he now just can't say words? Who's pinker? Well, that's the thing. Which one of them's more gammon? I don't know. He's 100% a human man, flesh person. He is. He definitely is a person. These are two definite human beings and are totally not aliens, alien lizard, space creatures. No.
The motives feel. I don't want to go into all the particulars.
Make an argument.
I don't think. I don't think there's anything heroic about him.
Yeah. Suddenly, Informer by Snow is erudite and understandable. Like if he'd just come out and said, "Informer, this could be what I'm saying. I like your boom boom down," that would have been more salient to the point. If he'd done the panpipes version of it without lyrics, it would have made more fucking sense.
Completely agree.
Oh,
I completely agree with the thing you didn't say. Peter Thiel on why he stood. This is Peter Thiel's reasoning.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
True.
Oh gosh. Honestly, that point almost moved me to tears by how eloquently he made his argument. You've just got to make an argument.
It's the most beautiful thing in the world for the guys that are like, hey, this all runs on us expressing ourselves in the realm of ideas.
I didn't know that's what he looked like. Have we ever seen the voice behind the thing before? He's a handsome young chap. I would absolutely blow his back doors in. I'm just saying.
I listen to that guy, and I definitely think, oh yeah, he's here because of the way he's able to form arguments and elaborate them to people. No, he's there because he has lots of money. He's there because he's actually going to make a lot of money off of this, selling surveillance information to government to make sure we kind of... here at Peter Thiel Industries Palantir, we're going to sell you a way to make sure you can keep an eye on all the people that your company is fucking over that might turn to violence. Like, this is money to this guy. But again, like you said, like the populism thing is just because they were out of power and in opposition, and anyone who is crediting it is a mark or a crypto fascist.
That's exactly right. He is going to make a lot of...
Matt does live stream. Where does this person live stream? I need to masturbate to him. No, I'm gonna joke. That's just... I've taken the joke too far. But anyway, I would watch him. Oh, speaking of which, Helena is going. What's she watching?
There's vacancies in AI procurement. There's vacancies in project managers. How can we make sure that we get...
it's actually more... The liaison committee. I was going to focus on that, but I just thought it's just Keir Starmer lying again. Who cares? So I didn't.
The money in this administration because...
$11.2 billion he has right now.
The casino is open. It's open for business. We are in an era where these oligarchs that are going to have a direct line in the Trump administration are going to try to loot the administrative state for parts. And as you mentioned...
But Cenk Uygur promised us. He's so optimistic that the populisms are going to win. How could he be wrong? It's Cenk Uygur, the huge-brained one.
Already has a lot of government contracts for security. He's going to get likely more security services that will benefit him with these healthcare CEOs probably enlisting him, but also along the border. His surveillance technology helps crack down on people trying to cross the border and seeking asylum. He's going to get more and more of those contracts to build the wall, but not a literal wall, by the way. Donald Trump came onto the political scene in 2016 promising that he would build a wall and Mexico would pay for it. No, now it's just going to be surveillance wall brought to you by Peter Thiel, getting your taxpayer money through government contracts to make sure that, I don't know, migrants trying to cross the Rio Grande don't get over to the border and essentially drown in those buoys that Greg Abbott put in the Rio Grande to make sure that it cut up a woman who was pregnant.
It's a difficult time for Peter Thiel and all of Peter Thiel's sort of media assets because they want to be celebrating as a folk hero Daniel Penny for choking a guy to death on the subway. But instead, there's the actual folk hero energy is getting pulled away on the exact same week that happened. And they're struggling now. They're struggling to figure out how to address this because it's all artificial. The idea that there's any sort of real popular energy on there is just it's much more helpful when you can project it onto a big rich guy like Donald Trump. Well, these freaks that are actually behind the scenes.
Exactly. And did you see that JD Vance is bringing Daniel Penny as his special guest to the Army football game?
That'd be ridiculous. These are the people that want to tell us about the sanctity of life. How dare you even jokingly support Luigi Mangione? Fucking Christ almighty. You fucking loved Kyle Rittenhouse. Shut the fuck up. You love political murder, you gobshites. Also, someone formerly of the Majority Report, who I did see was being interviewed on Where was it? Well, we'll watch to the end of this and we'll get to them. But Jamie Peck was interviewed by Chris Cuomo. Is it Chris? One of the Cuomos. That one, yeah. One of the sex perverts from the sex pervert family of sex perverts. Anyway, was interviewed Jamie Peck. So we'll take a look at that after this.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and they're desperate to make their version
can I make a point
of
about that?
Yes.
I don't think that there's anything heroic about I can't say Daniel Penny.
I'm so moved by what you just said. JD Vance is bringing him to the Army-Navy game. I think it's the Army-Navy game, some football game for some stunt, because they're trying to will this guy who killed one of the poorest people in our society, an unhoused person, a homeless person, who was having such difficulty. He choked him out for over 5 minutes on a subway car in broad daylight and then got away with it. That's for right-wing populism and the branding they're trying to get behind, even though we all know how ridiculous it is. That's their version of what a populist hero is. A dead-eyed white guy with a military background who goes onto the subway and protects all of the other respectable people from the hordes of poors that may make them a little bit uncomfortable for a second. The populist hero for them isn't the guy who did kill a healthcare CEO who was indirectly responsible for the deaths of tens of thousands of other people in the so-called populist movement, or whatever, both the right and the left. The point is just like it's a false premise. Their version of populism is that these vigilantes and right-wing freaks that get to do whatever they want and crush the people that are below them, as opposed to when violence is directed towards the powerful, then these so-called politicians of the people, the populace, they shrink into a little corner and then they go, it's all an aesthetic. And if you felt...
Hey, hello DJ Che. Everyone go and follow DJ Che. Much love. Welcome in. We're currently watching this and then we're watching a different thing, sort of about this. Fuck yeah.
For it, you're a mark.
And the point isn't who's a hero in this. The point is that in both of these stories, the number one villain, if you had to pick one person, is the healthcare CEO.
Yeah, exactly.
The one going...
Oh, God. You know, the other day I was joking about bringing PogChamp back as a word. Do you remember that? Well, Twitch have decided. They just sent me a notification. I'll just show you this for a second, right? So this is the back end, right? When I want to check out my thing, it's this. This is what happens, right? So there's the chat. Hello, chat. And so up in the top right corner here, you've got these little things, right? So notifications, boom. PogChamp, your 2024 Twitch streamer recap and chat badge are live. Let's go. Stop being shit, please, Twitch. Like, just stop. Can you do that for me? Can you be my little PogChamp? Can you not be mental and shit? Maybe? Just a thought. How are we doing on the thingamajig? Oh, our goal has not been reached yet. We've got 27 minutes, chat. So, and if you don't want Sonic and Knuckles to fuck... Actually, no, they're not fucking. They're just kissing. I'm not pimping them out. Yeah. Then you've got 37 minutes to. How much is the thing? $2, I think, or £2, whatever that is in your local currency. I don't fucking know. Did we work out that was about 30 Swedish krona the other day? If you're in Sweden. Yeah. Anyway. Yes.
To the deepest pit of hell is the healthcare CEO.
Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m.
No, Jon Stewart does the Daily Show, you silly.
Jamie Peck joins us now. Thank you for taking the opportunity.
Thank you for having me.
Help me understand. Why is it a beautiful thing? Why do you support him assassinating another human being in cold blood?
So, I was definitely joking a little bit, obviously drawing a comparison between what Donald Trump said about himself and the sort of explosion, this appetite, this excitement for the conversation that Luigi Mangione started. But I do think...
How are the Cuomo's still a thing? Well, I don't know if you know this, right, but they're rich and famous and well-connected. So that's literally all that matters. That's enough. If you're rich and famous and well-connected, you can get away with whatever. Doesn't matter. You'll still get work. It's fine. Speaking of dickheads, the Young Turks, just checking their social blade out. Ooh, that is a nasty little drop-off in the last couple of weeks there. Look, they're toddling along, some decent numbers, and then boom! They've lost... 10,000 subscribers in the last 6 days. It's not great. It's not great. Now you may think to yourself, yeah, but they've got 6 million subscribers or whatever. A lot of those are dead. Let's be honest. A lot of those are dead channels. They've been around for like 20 years or whatever. A lot of those are inactive accounts. So of the ones that are still there, losing 10,000 is considerable, considering their most recent videos are only getting about 15,000 viewers. Or views, I should say. So yeah, it's not going well for them. Really not. And they deserve it entirely for being cunts. Thank you to Wayward Historian. I am known for doing silly stuff, make the toys play. Well, thank you for the $5 dues. And thank you to James Holmes for 5 gifted subbies. So I've got to find my boy. I've got one of them. Where is Knuckles? Come to Papa. Right, that sounded weirder than it needed to be. So, I suppose we should probably go onto the big camera, shouldn't we, for this? Hello, Knuckles. Hello, Sonic. Do you want to blow in my back doors? Not really, it's a first date. How about a kiss? Okay. That's the noise they make. Worth every penny, I'm sure you'll agree. Is that Jamie Pecker used to be on the Majority Report? It is her, yes. It is they, it is them, it is them, I, she, her, yes. Yes, is the answer. This better not be the first actual fingering on screen. No, I'm not going to finger them, Jesus Christ.
To call this an act of terrorism is an insult to the intelligence of the American people. Terrorism is something designed to strike fear into the hearts of non-combatant civilians, right? The general population. Nobody but a tiny class of CEOs has been made to live in fear by Luigi's actions, but nearly everybody knows what it's like to live in fear of having a necessary medical claim denied.
True, that's
the
the
fear
thing.
of having your life ruined or potentially ended by a stack of medical...
She blatantly went back in time, went forward in time, heard what I had to say, and is now just repeating the same points. And it's not that we're both based as fuck and we just agree. No.
Bills. And I think in a system with so much violence that's directed from the top down, it should come as no surprise when violence begins to boomerang back from the bottom up onto the 1%. Also, I would like to remind you on the subject of terrorism, nearly 3,000 Americans lost their lives on 9/11, right? This is the largest terrorist attack this country has ever seen. An estimated 190...
Excuse me. The largest it's seen so far, okay? America is a nation built on the impossible. On dreaming the impossible dream, on achieving the next great goal. It is the largest terrorist attack on American soil so far. but I believe in you, America. I believe in you.
1,000 people are murdered each year by our broken healthcare system. That is the equivalent of 52 9/11s worth of deaths every year. Every single week, another 9/11 happens. So I gotta ask, who is the more prolific terrorist in this equation?
Well, first of all, as you may know, Jamie, terrorism is a specific legal standard, right? There's no question that Luigi did what he did in furtherance of a political agenda. He said it, okay? So I don't see this as a question of fact or law. It's about the policy behind it. What I don't understand...
To a degree, yeah. Like as I said on the thing, right? I don't care. The law probably does allow for him to be charged as a terrorist, right? A is the fact that they are charging him as a terrorist and other people who are murderers in the same sort of situation, but their victims are poor as not terrorists. And B, the definition of terrorism under the law is wrong, if that is indeed the case. That's the issue for me.
And, you know, you are somebody who in your positions is constantly trying to embrace the humanity of situations, right?
I'll tell you exactly where all the chuds are who are calling for civil war. They're too busy sucking off a dead CEO. And indeed the live ones. That's where they are. Tim Pool is too busy noshing on corporate dick to even spew the word civil war anymore.
Been looking at why you support what you do with what's happening in the Middle East conflict. To me, this seems to be anathema to this. You know, nothing within a system gets changed by violence. How can you expect... Yeah, we're having a conversation, but we're not having the right one because...
Well, hang on, firstly. Cuomo, the fact that you're having any discussion at all is worthwhile, because you'll notice the American establishment doesn't want to talk about healthcare. It wants to avoid talk of healthcare. Because the American establishment love the current healthcare system because it's funded by the healthcare insurance companies. So there wasn't any conversation happening at all. This has allowed for a release of tension for some people. It's something to rally around, even if you don't necessarily like the individual action that took place.
Nothing gets changed by violence. Tell that to the guy who shot Shinzo Abe.
Literally true. Marcus, you make a very good point. And Marcus, as a constitutional scholar of some sort, I don't know if you necessarily call yourself that, but you're our constitutional scholar, so we'll go with it as a descriptor. You will know that the American Constitution and the American independence as a concept, independence, I mean, it's British territory that America is falsely claiming, as we well know historically. But the fact that you're able to falsely claim it is due to the fact of extreme violence. When George Washington was cutting the throats of British service personnel on the other side of the Delaware River, after the famous crossing, was that peaceful throat cutting? And if so, what the fuck does that phrase mean? Yeah, America's independence was fought for with extreme violence. America's furtherance as a nation in terms of ending slavery was fought for with unbelievably brutal violence. Literally 600,000 dead Americans and about 2 million wounded in some way or another. It depends exactly how one defines it. But yeah, a lot of people wounded. A whole generation of young men walking around with half a leg or, one arm sort of thing. Yeah, the idea that violence isn't a part of political change is just so fucking wrong. It's such obvious bollocks. Now, that's not to say that violence should be the go-to. But this is sort of the point I think that is worth making about Luigi Mangione. Is that peaceful resolution to this has been tried. When people voted for Barack Hussein Obama, they did so on the basis that he was promising single-payer healthcare. That was a thing he was going to try and do. And to be fair to him, he did initially try and do that. And whilst the ACA is imperfect, it is certainly an improvement. But it's not at all a solution to the problem. It's a band-aid. It's a sticking plaster over what is a gaping wound. And the American healthcare industry, and indeed many of those funded by the healthcare industry in his own party, and all of the GOP and the media, all came out and killed any opportunity for single-payer health coverage, leaving tens of millions uninsured and tens of millions more underinsured. And even those that aren't underinsured still being terrorised, to use an apt legal phrase, by the fact that they've paid for their coverage, but yet they still might not get paid out for it. And should they or their family become ill, even though they think they are covered, the bills for that may be crippling to the point of poverty and or homelessness and bankruptcy. Peaceful resolution to this was tried in the form of voting, in the form of pushing the Democratic Party to put forward a political candidate for president who was promising to solve this problem. It didn't work. The establishment rounded on it and killed it. And to use the phrase of a former American president, albeit he's a piece of shit who really we oughtn't lionize in any way whatsoever, although it could be argued that some people took it too far, Lee Harvey Oswald being one. Those that make peaceful revolution impossible make violent revolution inevitable. If you take away people's peaceful change, they will turn to violence. And that's precisely what happened here. That's not to condone the actions. It's just saying that it's inevitable. Where did they think this was going to end? How did they just think the robber baron era was just going to be allowed to be eclipsed like this? Of course it fucking wasn't. People were obviously going to react in unpredictable ways. And that's precisely what we've seen. And I'd be very surprised if we don't see a continuation of that.
The healthcare industry now has high ground because they've been victimized by this chooch. This isn't how we get insurance to be better.
Chooch? What the fuck is a chooch? I've not heard chooch before. Chooch. Chooch AI? Chooch Wiktionary. From the Italian chuccio. The loss of the final vowel is... Hang on, what? No. Chooch. I don't know. I can't find a fucking thing. Chooch. It's an American-Italian slang term meaning a stupid person, a meathead. It's from the Italian chuccio, which means a dummy that a baby would use, or a pacifier. Or from the related term, donkey. Okay, it's probably more donkey, I would think. Although dummy works, I don't know. Anyway, I've never heard that phrase before. I've learned an American-Italian phrase, which I'll probably instantly forget. Also, it sounds a bit like cooch, which is funny.
By putting a bullet in somebody's head? Why would you get behind that?
Now, I've never advocated violence as a tactic for change coming from
You're celebrating the guy.
People that I organize with. This was a lone wolf act of violence on the part of Luigi Mangione, and it seems to have started a huge conversation among everybody about the violence, the death, and the murder caused by this broken healthcare system. Again, 9/11 every single week indefinitely.
That's
until
a crazy stat. Why is that allowed? Why? I'm surprised there hasn't been more. I said this at the time, and I'll continue to say it. I'm surprised there isn't more violence towards these people. Again, not condoning it, not saying it's an okay thing to do. I'm just saying from the perspective of someone who observes these things and observes the anger that is felt towards them, and indeed the popular support that we see for people like Luigi, right? When there's that groundswell of anger underneath, to the point where you can raise tens of thousands of dollars for his legal defense, even though it's on camera. Like, he's pretty obviously guilty, right? Like, under the law, he's going to go to jail for murder. He may even go to jail for terrorism. There's a theory that suggests he might go and get fucking... They'll execute
Ladies and
him.
gentlemen,
No,
victory is ours.
I'm not suggesting that he will be or should be executed. I'm just putting it out there as like a thing that is possible under the current sentencing guidelines if found guilty. But he's pretty obviously guilty of, like, murder. We all saw that on the camera. They blur the bloke out, but, like, we know what that is. And yet people will raise tens of thousands of dollars for him. And there are, it's a significant percentage of the population that openly will say they support him. And I would imagine a significant percentage further who would never tell a pollster that they do support him to any degree, but secretly are like, yeah, I kind of get it. So with that level of, like, anger and groundswell underneath it, I'm surprised there isn't more violence like this. I'm really surprised about that. And I would not be that surprised to see further violence in the future. Either of a copycat nature or of a totally individual, spontaneous thing. Who knows? Hi, are you Muslim? I am not Muslim. I am myself of no religious denomination. Formerly Catholic, now basically a non-believer, for what it's worth. Yeah. Not that it really matters, because I don't give two fucks what particular religion a person is. And if you do, this is probably not the place for you. Well, okay, I'll rephrase that. It's not that you care what religion a person is. It's if you think a person being a certain religion makes them a bad person instantly. The beard is groomed according to Islamic law. Is it? Okay. I mean, I literally just shaved it. It was massive earlier today. But I mean, I've also got, like, I'm also uncircumcised. I eat pork and drink alcohol. So if I am a Muslim, I'm a very bad one. Kev, grow a Hitler tash too? No. Also, I'd find that quite difficult to do, because the kind of main bit of the Hitler tash is relatively thin on me. Not like crazy bad, but just like not as full as it needs to be to really go to grow the Hitler tash.
Puts a stop to this madness. So we are here really to advocate for the thousands and thousands of people who have spoken up against an unjust and violent healthcare system.
What bet did you lose? Well, you know what, Zakap? Everyone don't go and follow Zakap. Zakap in chat is a dickhead who you shouldn't go and follow. Okay? Their streams are atrocious, and you definitely shouldn't go and follow them. I've spoken my speech. Okay? Don't do it. Don't click on their link and don't go and hit the follow button. They are evil.
Which is not a fact of nature.
Jamie, that's 100% fine. And by the way, it's not new, okay? People have been crusading against insurance companies, but there's no question we haven't gotten changes to the system that are necessary. No question. You're talking to one of them right now. I look this old because I am old. And I've been covering that system for over 25 years, and almost never positively. But you're raising money for this guy's legal...
Right, but this is the thing, right? Cuomo, you and your ilk, are rich enough that the system doesn't really affect you negatively, so you don't feel that strongly about it. And secondly, even when you do feel strongly about it, and you'll do the odd piece about how the healthcare industry is bad, you still support political candidates who aren't going to do anything about this. So fundamentally, you are blocking any change. You give positive coverage to people who are going to do nothing to resolve this problem in Congress or in state houses or wherever. So you're a part of the problem as much as anybody else. You really are.
legal defense. If that isn't supporting what he did, I don't know what would be. And again, as somebody who says what my interest is in seeing people treated humanely, you're raising money for exactly the opposite. I don't get the hypocrisy.
No, I would argue that by comparison to the way in which Brian Thompson treated people when he was alive, I would argue Luigi Mangione treated him with a great deal more humanity. Brian Thompson never experienced a second of fear. Brian Thompson was dead before he knew it. He had the most peaceful exit one could imagine, in terms of his own understanding of the situation. He was alive and then he wasn't. Compare that to the immeasurable pain and suffering he inflicted on others. Both physical pain in the form of denied coverage, but also the anxiety and fear to the point of driving people insane that his denials or potential denials of healthcare would have inflicted on hundreds of thousands, millions of Americans. I would argue Luigi Mangione treated Brian Thompson with a great deal more respect and human dignity than he ever treated anybody else. Than Brian Thompson ever treated anybody else.
Well, I think everybody is entitled to a fair trial, including Luigi Mangione. And as we know,
he doesn't need your money.
Access to a fair trial is actually quite tiered based on how many resources a person has access to. What?
He's got access.
That's the one thing, like, I understand why Jamie Peck is doing this, and it's a good, like, meme. It's a good rallying point to further the discussion, and that's fine. But in terms of the actual way in which it's going about, he doesn't need the money. Like, he's from a rich family. That's the bizarre thing. Like, he's a class traitor, but the good way round. The Tony Benn, Vladimir Lenin type way round. Of a rich bastard who goes against their class interests. You know? So he doesn't need your money. He's fine. He actually doesn't need your money. But that's fine. You can just give it to somewhere else. That's fine.
You see who his lawyer is? She ain't working pro bono, I promise you that.
Yeah, well, we have not heard yet as to whether or not Luigi is going to accept these funds. If he doesn't need them for whatever reason, they're going to be distributed to other people who are facing political charges. But I think in this country, money is a form of speech.
Oh, no, listen, I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm not saying you can't do it, Jamie. I'm saying, why would you do it? You have the right to do it. I'm saying, why is it right? Why don't you take the money and give it to people who've gotten screwed by insurance companies?
Because that's just charity. How is that doing anything? That's just charity. That's patching over the problems caused by this industry. It's that level of, like, liberal brain rot which fucking blows me away. Don't get me wrong. If you can help somebody out who's in financial trouble, you should do so. Mutual aid is good. I'm not arguing against that. Just giving money to random people to help cover up the evil done by the healthcare industry isn't solving fucking anything. Now, to be fair, Luigi Mangione killing a guy isn't really doing that either. But from his perspective, it was the only way out he saw. I would argue that the use of that money to try and help other political prisoners would be a great deal more use in terms of actually tackling a systemic problem than just doling it out to, like, 20 people. Because, like, even if you raise a few, tens of thousands of dollars, let's say you raise $100,000, there are individuals who rack up that amount of debt in America because of healthcare. Look, it can cost thousands of dollars to get a fucking ambulance ride. What the fuck what madness is this? I remember back in the day, I went on Gremlo's show. He used to do a thing where he'd invite people on and they did it was like a quiz thing. And some of the questions were about medical costs in the United States. And I was blown away by the amount it costs to, like, do basic shit. Like how much they charge you for a Band-Aid or, like, a bandage for, like, a broken arm or something. Like, we're talking, like, fucking $20 for to apply a Band-Aid. That's fucking insanity. It's so fucking crazy. So even if you raise 100 grand, what the fuck is that going to do? That's going to clear like 2 people's fucking debt. That's nothing. That's not even a fucking patch on the situation. It's nothing. The people shouldn't be in that kind of fucking debt because they got sick. Because again, getting sick is a thing that's unavoidable. It does not matter how healthy you are. It doesn't matter how well you live your life, how safety conscious you are. You're going to get ill. Every human being gets ill because every person's body breaks down and every person will die. It's fucking disgusting that this is a situation that's tolerable in the richest nation that's ever happened in the history of our species. No country or district or region or empire has ever had the material wealth of the United States, and yet you allowed tens of millions of your citizens to rot. It's fucking mental. You're missing the point. He will inspire people to go out and kill random people, working innocent people. Well, possibly so. That's unfortunately the nature of these things. Again, I don't necessarily condone exactly what he did. And yeah, there may be individuals who are inspired to do things because of this, some of which is not controllable. But again, I would argue that it isn't just Luigi Mangione that's to blame for that. There are systems in place that lead to people freaking out in this way and acting in impulsive and not necessarily very productive ways. But it's the system that does this. It's the system that makes this inevitable. We could stop this. For the largest part, there's no system ever being created that is going to get rid of it all completely. It's, you know, you still get in fucking West Germany, you still had Baader Meinhof and groups like that. Like, there are going to be some bad people around who do, you know, fucked up shit. It doesn't have to be inspired by a religion at all. It can be a completely non-religious thing. But it's the systems in place that lead to a lot of the underlying frustration and anger that builds over time that leads to Luigi Mangione doing what he did. Because he could have lived a very comfortable upper middle class life if he'd wanted to. If the system had allowed for that to happen, he's not naturally a person who was going to go and do this. As far as we're aware, he didn't really appear to be mentally ill or anything like that. His politics largely are pretty fucking boring for the most part, it seems. A situation drove him to do this. You know? No, Gob, I'm not suggesting you are trying to do any of those things. I'm just responding with some thoughts. Just something to ruminate on for people.
I think I need to refocus once again onto the murder and the violence inherent in this system that so many people all across the political spectrum, across lines of political difference, conservatives, liberals, Democrats, and Republicans are all excited and energized to talk about this and to have this conversation.
Raise money for the action groups that go after the insurance companies. I'm with you. This is not about the insurance companies. That's my problem, Jamie. I had you on not for sport. I want you to understand that I don't think that the energy that you're putting towards backing this guy is getting us to a better place with the problems of the system. That's my point to you. Use the money you raised for the people who need it, not this guy.
Well, I believe we really need to treat the causes of problems rather than merely the symptoms. And I think if you want to know what kinds of tactics I do advocate for, I think we need a mass movement. You know, change comes from the bottom up,
But not a bunch
not
of
the top
Luigis.
down. And I'm talking about mass resistance to medical debt. If everybody burns their medical bills in front of the health
But
insurance
not like
company
this.
offices en
That's
masse,
different.
that's going to create change. And we're just trying
That's
to figure
different.
out how to use this moment of of popular excitement that has been.
That's what the establishment are really angry about. It's not just that an individual got killed, because realistically, Luigi Mangione is not a threat in of himself to capital. He's a threat to the life of one guy, but that's it. Capital has been unaffected by this, realistically. It's the fact that he not inspires other people to go out and commit murder or anything, because again, that's not really a threat to capital. It's that it inspires people to want a better thing. It's to inspire the idea in people's heads and the conversation between peoples that maybe we could have a better situation that doesn't lead to this happening. That's what they're scared about. That's why you've seen, like, the absurd situation. Did you? Someone mentioned it earlier, but did you see him arriving in New York? They there was like fucking 20 fucking police officers with him. Like, he's a streak of piss, lads. Like, what the fuck? Why would you need that many police officers? Hang on, I don't think I bookmarked it, did I? Let me have a look. Let me have a look. Oh no, that's the thing from the... Here we go, look. Look, how many police officers does he need around him here? That's ridiculous. So you've got... He's in handcuffs for a start off, right? So, like he's not going anywhere. He's behind fucking metal barriers. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 that we can see just in this one picture. 16 fucking officers. Like, he weighs fucking 12 stone wet. Do you think he's going to fucking bust out or something? What do you think is going to happen here? He's in fucking handcuffs, lads. He's not going anywhere. This is such overkill because they want to stamp down on any potential. Any potential for, like, a good example. Peasants, stay in your fucking lane, otherwise we will destroy you.
Touched off by, yes, a violent act that I would not advocate for as a tactic if it were up to me, but it happened. And we're trying to figure out how to ride that wave and move this conversation forward into mass action that can really make a difference.
Well, listen, I'm here for it. I always have been, but we're covering it. I would love for that to be the discussion. But as long as this guy is glamorized, it is a distraction. It is not a vehicle for focus. But I do appreciate you coming on to make the case, and I'm happy the audience got to hear where you're coming from because they're scratching their heads about this. Not about what's wrong with insurance, but how this was the solution. Thank you for coming on to make the case.
Thank you for having me.
Well, this is the thing. I don't think anyone is suggesting this is the solution to the problem. I don't think anyone's really suggesting that. It's that, like, no one chose this solution but Luigi Mangione, right? But having had this thing happen, why not use it as a potential positive? Why not try and turn what would otherwise just be a sort of unpleasant act of violence into something more positive? Why not? That would be my thought on it. Anyway, I'm going to fuck off. Who shall I send everybody over to on YouTube? Now, in terms of tomorrow, I'll be back, hopefully with Christy, but we don't know because she's travelling back from Würzburg, which is definitely a real place that really exists. I'll send you over to No Justice on both of them. So yeah, enjoy that content. Yes, like I say, I'll be back tomorrow. If I want to if Christie's around, I want to watch with her Stephen Fry's interview on trigonometry, because that's he is a fucking cunt. Anyway, I may just watch that on my own if she's not around. We'll wait and see. In lieu of that, enjoy No Justice, watching the Liaison Committee. Enjoy watching Keir Starmer lie about things. It's a thing he does. I will see you all tomorrow, hopefully. Stay beautiful. Free Palestine. No pass around.